Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of the Comicsgate Commandos, number 32. How we doing tonight, folks? We got 9 people in the chat. We got comments on comments, new people in the chat too. Let me bring on my co-host for this evening, Colonel Carbon Hart. What's going on, Carbon?
Yes, we're back.
There you are. Back again.
Hail General Q. Hail chat. Good to see you.
You too. Let me bring on our medic, Dr. Ben. What's up, Doctor?
Gentlemen, chat.
Beautiful day. Hail.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, we've got a special guest for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We often have a special guest, but this is a special guest we've got tonight is Mr. Michael Oden of The Embrace. So let's give him a big hand. You're muted, Michael.
Oden! I ain't help if I do that. What's up, guys? How are we doing this evening? So I'm not gonna lie, the infantryman in me, Patrick, is looking at your beret and is going, "What the fuck is going on with that? Why have you not formed it? You're supposed to be the general of the Commandos here, and we're just saying fuck it with the beret. What are we doing?"
I don't even see. This is supposed to be on the side, isn't it? I saw a picture earlier today, and I was like, "This is supposed to be flat on one side."
Oh, dude. Okay, we'll in the green room. I'll teach you. Okay, I've been between military school and 6 years in the army. I know a thing or two about berets. So, you're a bit off, friend. We'll get you right. We'll get you right for the future.
Sorry.
It's okay. You can't unfuck what you don't know. It's all good.
6 years in the army.
Yeah,
that's serious. Well, thank you for your service.
Yes, I didn't do much. I the biggest thing I did was I got deployed to Qatar for 11 months. It's paid vacation. The devil's asshole. That's all.
Just hung out. Well, thank you for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes nothing's better than something. So.
Fair enough. Absolutely. And by the time we did that, I was so over it. You get out of basic and everyone's all gung ho about fucking everything, and then you're there with your unit for maybe a year or two, and you're like, you know what? This is all pretty fucking dumb. So you're just trying to kind of make it through.
The question is, are you higher on the list if a draft were to happen in the next few years?
Oh no, not a chance. My body's all sorts of screwed up. They would come to me and I'd be like the worst person. It's my knees are fucked. My spot, my back is when I joined the army, I was 6'3". I'm now just barely at 6'2". I'm at 6'1 3/4. It'll just depend on how my posture is when I go to get measured. Because back when I was we were wearing IBAs, and the way that the plates are set up on those and everything like that, my spine just got compressed by an inch.
Wow.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but trust me, it feels like.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, it does sound like a lot. Inch.
The old bone spur excuse that Donald Trump used. Remember the bone spurs?
Oh. But yeah, knees are definitely shot. I've got bad feet, bad ankles, bad pretty much everything at this point. That's what the infantry does for you. Is it certainly has made sure that there's no sort of selective service thing that I have to worry about.
Well, that's a plus then, right? I mean,
yeah, of course, absolutely. I got some great stories out of it too, but there's certainly not going to be a rush of bringing me back in.
Well, I'm willing to go. If they draft me, I'll be the guy sitting in the plane. All I have to do is pull the trigger, and I'll drop the bomb. I'm willing to do that.
Good for you, man.
So
damn. Hey guys, I'm way behind. I'm receiving your guys' words way after I see your faces. So I'm just gonna jump out and I'm gonna jump back in. I'll be right back.
It's all good, man.
Okay, cool. So Michael, First, I gotta start out. Obviously, nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you guys as well.
Yeah.
Michael Oden. That's a great name. Now the thing is that your Hollywood name?
No, that's my actual name.
Really? Okay. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's pretty fortunate there.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty good. So, like Oden obviously being the family name is certainly a nice advantage, especially in comics, given, you know, the popularity of like Marvel and everything over the past 10, 15 years. That has certainly helped out a lot.
Yeah,
Brand.
no, that's cool. Do you go by Mike? Do you prefer Mike or Michael?
Dude, I was, as I said, I was an infantryman for 6 years. You could probably call me "Hey asshole" and I'd respond. So like, it's all good.
Yeah.
I go by Michael. I go by Oden. I go by all sorts of things. But yeah.
So do you worship the old gods, or like what or you're like the embodiment? Like what? How does that work?
So in terms of joking, I like to say, because like, so my version of Odin is kind of a blend between the old Nordic and Anglo-Saxon. So like one of the traditional spellings is obviously Odin, but then there's also Woden.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of a blend of both of those. But what I like to do is when people go, isn't it supposed to be IN? I go, well, I gave up my I for all knowledge, and so that's why I have the E. And so I joke with that.
So you respond to a nerdy question with an even nerdier response. I like that.
Because that's how we fucking do.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. My computer.
No, dude, you're all good, man.
So let me introduce, or rather say hello to the chat here. First, we got Wolf and Barry says, "First, where's my prize?" And Frederick responds with 20 push-ups. Get down.
Hell yeah, get it.
We got Marilyn Cookies. I think the first time she was here was last week, if I'm not mistaken. I might be. Then you can call me an old slur, an outdated racial slur, please. I'm Irish and Polish, so I'm sure you can figure it out. We got Immortal Rising comic book. He says, "Checks watch." What's up, Immortal Rising? We'll talk about him a little bit tonight too, because he's getting close to closeout. So
I think he is close.
Yeah, man. Great looking book too.
yeah. Oh yeah. I picked mine up the other week, so I'm excited about that. And
look, I know that guy.
I picked the Embrace up too the other day. I'm excited about that as
thank
well.
you so much.
Thank you. I was sad I couldn't. It was like the choice between 1 and 2 or the glow in the dark one, and I was like, I want that glow in the dark one.
Hey man, we're just, you know, say we'll be open. The Embrace 2 campaign's open through the end of October, and then we'll be doing a Kickstarter too. So like, you can always just save up a little bit and then just, you know,
if there's any left, there's like a limit. Where there 25 of those?
So 25 left right now. So like they sold, like we are doing like the maximum was 50, but we had it initially on the Indiegogo, and when it was on the Indiegogo, it was $50, and then we sold over like literally half of them. And so now there's only 25 left, and the price went up to 70 because now there's only 25 left. But like that cover is sick. Like Shelby provided us two of our best covers on that campaign. Like those two and Dean's are probably my personal favorites. Bancroft is up there as well. Like and it's really difficult to say anything like that because all of the covers that we have are really fucking good. But yeah.
Dude, very, very nice. So we've got Nine Realms Publishing. He says, "What up, party people?"
Yeah,
we got Adam Weber. We got Hansel Hauser, 2 lightning bolts in a tree, as always. Fantastic.
Yes.
We've got Miranda. Hello, Miranda. How you doing? How you doing? We've got
hello there, Miranda. Hi.
all right, Carmen, calm down there.
We do seem to have, I don't want to say like a lot, but we do have a fair balance of of lady fans, lady viewers.
Miranda's my number one fan. She's my girlfriend and she's my co-host on my show. So
Very nice.
I knew it.
Fantastic.
I was gonna ask you that. I said, don't let that be your girlfriend, Michael.
It absolutely is. She's
Okay,
fantastic.
all right. So I take it all back.
Hey, you don't have to take anything back. Like, I'm not. I get it. She's very pretty. She's awesome. She's good people.
Very nice. A toy fanboy says, "Love and Daps Comicsgate." A toy fanboy, did something happen? I feel like I was watching something, and you said something serious happened to you, unless I'm mistaken. Let us know in the chat. Hope everything's going all right. We got JD Kirby, the Wicked Witch Dark Overlord. Hello, my pretties. Puppies will put them to sleep. Amazing. I love that picture so much.
Oh, that is the Wicked Witch.
Oh, man. Catalyst's Vault. Hello, Catalyst's Vault. Yeah, Frederick says 30 seconds in, Patrick's getting schooled. JD says, your beret's cool, Patrick.
It would be cooler if it was formed properly. That's all I'm saying.
Look, I tried while I was restarting my computer. See, isn't this better?
So the big thing that you need to do is, so there's a cardboard part that's inside the beret that you actually need to cut a portion out. You'll feel it right where that patch is. There's like a when we get done, I'll have you take your beret off and I'll show you what you need to do. But like,
yeah,
it's a whole process. In the Army, you get like a disposable razor and you spend like 2 or 3 days shaving it down, and then you got to cut the cardboard to like a square so that there's not much of it, and then you go in, you like kind of tuck part of the beret in and then smooth it out, and you wet the beret and you let it form on your head. It takes like it takes like 2 or 3 hours once you've done that.
Huh. Well, yeah. After the show's over, we'll take 2 or 3 hours. You'll run me through it. No,
I got you, dude.
Figure it out.
Well, look, let me just say, there's no stolen valor on this show. We look like militant people. Hey, look, we're still willing to kill. That's what really matters.
Yeah, that is the main.
I mean, well, it's important, I guess.
Yeah, right. This is by the way, a Soviet Union beret, so I don't know if that changes anything, but
I mean, it might. I don't know. I just went with I'm going with what my knowledge base is.
Yeah.
So
let's see, who else do we have here? JD says he wants to be drafted. No way, dude. Who else do we have here? Oh, we got Transylvanian Jack. What's up, Transylvanian Jack? We got William Schaefer. Hello, William Schaefer. And I think that is everybody. Yes, that is everybody. Miranda says everything military. She puts another tree in the chat there. Military history is what brought us together.
She is not wrong.
The Squid says, I don't know, man. Being a dirty red commie ain't good. You're right. It's not. That's my aesthetic. Okay, just bear with me. Oh, okay, folks. Here we are. So, okay, just a real thing for the people in the chat who are wondering. Last week, it was the SNL skit that made YouTube take down the Comicsgate Commandos number 31.
Oh, yeah.
And so people were like, "Hey, Q, can you go, trim that piece out and put it back up?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I go onto YouTube Studio, and like the dumbass that I am, I trimmed the video, thinking I grabbed the SNL video and trimmed it.
Oh, did you delete everything
besides the SNL video?
You sad little man. I am so sorry for you.
So you're telling me that the rest of the show is gone?
Yes and no.
Amazing.
Yes and no. So they must think I'm some kind of total dick just sending them in. Oh yeah, gonna get me for the SNL video? Well, here's just that. But I sent them a message. I said, "Hey, look, like an idiot, I did this. Can you please?" Because Carbon, there's a thing where you make the trim, it goes back to YouTube. They decide if it's good or not, and then they send it back to you. So the video is still saved on YouTube side. Whenever I go into YouTube Studio, though, it's only the 5 minutes that I trimmed out. So I'm waiting for YouTube to respond to me and say, "No, we're not good. This isn't good. Try again." So we'll see.
You'll get that response sooner or later,
hopefully. Because it was a good stream we had the other night with Anthony Sika.
Oh, it was very good, and I gave my Joker 2 review, which was very passionate.
Yeah,
I'm sure it was. Was it about how terrible it was? because that's all literally the only thing I've heard. Like when they announced that they were doing a Joker 2, I was like, this is stupid. Like,
No, I loved it actually.
oh, did you?
No,
Michael, we received our marching orders from EVS, so we all gotta like it now.
No,
That's how
I
Comicsgate
despise
works.
it. I said some brutal things about it.
You know,
We need somebody to start saving the streams, like Corona or Cornbread Man, and posting them on Odyssey. Like, you know how some of the streams are saved by people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So because we say we're gonna just keep on getting more and more controversial here.
He says, "Hey, archive your own show."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we could do that too.
Wow.
I think if I paid for StreamYards, that it would I would have the option of recording it. So that's a thing.
Might be.
Also, I'm supposed to be streaming also to Twitter right now, but I don't know how to do that. So
If you do not have the StreamYard Premium, you can't.
okay, well that makes sense then. All right.
Like it only allows you to stream to one location if you don't have Premium.
Good
That's
to
how they
know.
pitch you.
I tried to do a double stream, and it just I just kept hearing like both sides of both streams, so it was just I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? When I was talking, I heard myself. I was just like I couldn't do it.
It was reminding you of your acid days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Katie Did says, "Hey, Michael Oden."
What up?
Katie did.
Yeah, we're riding her coattails tonight by having Michael on. He's already on her show.
First,
Of course,
That was a interesting show. Certainly.
of course.
Dude, it was a great conversation you guys had.
I like it was one of those things where I didn't really think that I said anything too controversial, and then it kind of blew up. I was like, I don't understand why we're arguing about this, because it became like, oh well, like if you're making like a 40+ page book, and I was like, that's literally not what I said. As I said, floppies, which is defined by printers in the industry as 20 to 32 pages.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, literally all I said was we shouldn't be charging $25 for a floppy, and then things blew up. And I was just like, I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah.
And then it became, oh, Michael Oden says people are overpricing our indie books by charging $25. Like, no, that is not what I
Oh, so the chat started bitching a little bit.
Oh, 100%.
to starve.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. That's cool.
Katie says,
I want to point out that Katie.
I'm glad.
I want to point out that Katie misspelled Michael, by the way.
Did she?
Of course.
Did she?
She did. It's all good, dude.
Michael.
What 100% the most misspelled part of my name, which always blows my mind, because I look at it like, how does that make sense?
Yeah.
But like literally every single time that somebody misspells my name, it's always my first name, and it's always EAL that they do it as. I'm like, I have a certificate of authenticity somewhere from when my brother was Airborne Ranger during Iraq and Afghanistan, and back when I was younger, he was a part of the team that got Saddam. And so like he gifted me the flag that they put over like Fort Nama when they got him, and so I got like a certificate of authenticity from the United States Army, and the Army fucking spelled my name wrong. They spelled it Micheal, and it is the most Army fuck up that you could possibly imagine.
I mean, I could see that happening all the time, because it's one of those things where, like, you ever write a word that you think is a common word, and then you're like, is it really spelled that way? And then you start second guessing yourself, right? You're like, is it really? And then you get it wrong between the two choices.
Oh man, it's all good.
Fantastic. Well, you know what we've got, folks? What we've got to show you tonight. I'm very excited to show this. Let me see here. We have The Embrace 1 and 2. It's now on FundMyComic.
I know that book.
The super, right? you heard about this one?
I have.
Dude, you got to get. I
heard the writers are pretentious shithead, though. Story's really good, art's great, but that writer really should just go away. Is what I hear.
So we've got. Well, let's play the trailer real quick, shall we?
Good music, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, it has no right being this good. It's literally just a copyright-free track that Good Stuff found.
Those are some of the.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, I'll tell the story about the trailer once it wraps up. Yeah.
Is that a Jimmy Reyes trailer right there?
It's good. It's Good Stuff. So Good Stuff started doing trailers for indie guys. And let me tell you, if you guys are looking at doing a book, or if you're just trying to create like a trailer for your channel or something like that, Good Stuff has fucking incredible rates. And he's really, really fast, very enthusiastic about what he's doing, and like is very much willing to work with you. So like I told him, like when we were talking about this, like, do you have any ideas for like what music you'd like? And at the time, I had done some like reveals of covers and stuff using Silent Hill 2's Theme of Laura, because it's got this really good balance of like dark horror, but still upbeat action, but also a little bit of somberness, which really fits into the Embrace as an IP. Yeah. And so, so I told him that, and initially he sent me like a copyright-free version of Theme of Laura that was like a live performance of it. And I was fine with it up until it got to the rhythm guitar part, where like the guy who was playing the guitar, it was really funny because it was the video. So I was watching this guy. This guy like thought he was playing the shit out of this part, but he was butchering the fuck out of it. And I was like, no, I don't want it anywhere near the trailer. And so then he comes back with this track, and he's like, I found this. Will this work? And I was like, fuck yeah, well.
Yeah. It reminded me of like 28 Days Later.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think that's great. Like I hadn't even thought of that, but like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Dude, you said the magic words. I shit you not. I was just watching before this stream Silent Hill 2, the remake, a playthrough of it, because I haven't bought it because I don't have a PS5, but I was checking out the remake. Silent Hill 2 is like one of the best pieces of media, and the music is awesome in that fucking game.
Yeah, I'm very tempted. I'm probably gonna get the remake once it goes on sale, because I don't want to spend $70 on a remake of a game that I played like 30 years ago.
It looks amazing, though. I have to say,
it does. It looks beautiful. Like I'm very impressed with what they've done. I know that there was a lot of like controversy around some stuff with it, but everything that I've seen from the game looks and feels like the Silent Hill 2 that I played, just upgraded. So,
yeah,
that's what Metal Gear Solid 3 looks like too. I don't know if you're into that, but
dude, the Metal Gear Solid remake looks freaking gorgeous. The only complaints I'm hearing about that is they didn't expand on any of the maps outside of what they originally were, which I do think is like, if you guys are going to invest all this time in upping the visuals to this degree, open up the map exploration and make it feel like Phantom Pain.
Yes.
I feel like that is the, like, you want to make Metal Gear Solid 3 the way that everybody wants it to be. like same story and everything like that. Don't touch any of the narrative, but build out the maps so that they at least have, even if they don't have the same level of openness, make them feel like, trick people into feeling like they have the openness that they have in Phantom Pain.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. They were afraid, though. They're very afraid of stepping on the legacy. So I think it's been by the numbers. You know what I mean? Like,
no, 100%. Like I respect the way that they're doing it, but I think at that point it becomes way more difficult to justify the high price point of the game if it's just like, this is the exact same game with a bunch of spackle and polish on it, right? Like you need to refine the mechanics, you need to update the visuals, yes, but you need to make a reason for people to come and play this, and the best way to do that would be to expand the environment and fill it with more enemies, so that way it can at least give it the illusion of being a bigger game, even if it's not really.
Yeah. I'm really excited, though, that they've done some things, like they've added in almost exactly like a Phantom Pain, like over the shoulder third person, you know, because the Subsistence was one thing. I don't know if you remember that when they had that third person for Subsistence on PS2. But this new one is exactly like Phantom Pain, where it's just the third person shooting in Phantom Pain was
it was a chef's kiss. Phantom Pain is like the perfect Metal Gear Solid experience. It's absolutely amazing, and like that game.
Thank you for saying that. There's so many people out there who are like, Phantom Pain is garbage, and Phantom Pain is
those people are wrong, and they're not. And there's a reason why we aren't allowed to have nice things, and it's people like that. It's the same thing where like the Final Fantasy 16 PC port finally came out, and like all of a sudden I was starting to see people talk shit about Jill and Clive. I was just like, are we not allowed to have nice things? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
The answer
Jill
is no.
And Clive are great.
But I will say, though, I mean, the one thing about Phantom Pain, very briefly, gameplay-wise, it's masterful. But you have to admit, in terms of like the narrative flow.
But like, what are you gonna do with the narrative? You already know how that's going to end.
Let him finish.
Like,
I want to hear what Carvin has to say about the narrative.
Calm down, Michael.
Let's see. I want to hear.
I'm sorry. I don't mean.
What I was going to say is
I'm that guy that goes from 1 to 11. Like that.
I love the game. No, it's an awesome game. I'm saying though, in terms of a narrative flow, it like for example, I think MGS3 has because the pacing of the story and the cutscenes. You get more storyline. Obviously, with Phantom Pain, there's a ton of gameplay. You don't get as much storyline. So that's the only drawback I think there is to that game.
I thought you were going to say something else, Carbon, and I was about to. Because I'll tell you what, I honestly think that the Phantom Pain story is the best of all of the Metal Gear Solid.
No, I'm not complaining about that. I'm not complaining. I'm talking about the flow of the narrative.
Yeah, so you're talking about the pacing in particular.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I can understand that. Like the first act's really good. Second act kind of drags a little bit, and then the third act is fucking epic.
The third dude, oh my god, Truth, the man who sold the world, that mission. Well, you're mostly watching it to a degree. It is one of the greatest like video game things that's ever happened to me in my life. Like once I realized what's going on, and realized it within the context of like, oh wait a minute, we're Snake. Like, and that was the whole point of the whole. Like I was like, oh shit, like this is one of the greatest. And then it's like you look back on the things that you did as Snake, like you killed all those people. It's like, oh, that's why he's the bad guy. Because you were the one who did it. Like
but let's get back to the Embrace.
Yes, you're right.
Oh, 100%. I do want to Katie was asking me what my thoughts are now that Ciso's gotten kicked off of Indiegogo, my experience with them. I mean, this is all right. When I was doing my Indiegogo, we were shadow banned from day one for the Embrace 2. This is not the first time that a campaign that I've done has been shadow banned. I think that it's more to do with incompetency on a couple years ago. Indiegogo tried to update their UI, and it resulted in a lot of people getting dicked over with shadow banning and everything like that. And they don't know how to fix it. And so like in terms of what I think about this whole Cecil situation, I mean, I don't really know enough about it. I do know that Cecil did the first cash grab, and it took a long time to fulfill. Part of that, I think, was part of the actual joke that played into the campaign. But like at the end of the day, like Indiegogo has received a bunch of complaints about creators not fulfilling, and that could have gotten him a flag. But like, I don't know enough about why they kicked him off the platform. I haven't read the email that they sent to him or anything like that. I don't know if he's made that public. I do know that it's happened, but it's also something I'm not surprised about. Like, at the end of the day, both Indiegogo and Kickstarter, you know, comics and stuff like that are like less than like 3% of what they bring in annually, right?
Yeah.
So like, they don't care. Like at the end of the day, especially if you're for us in the indie scene, like specifically like my level and most people like that, you know, we're at the low, sometimes mid 5 figures, right? And then you got like Cecil and EVS that are in those 6 figures. But like, you look at that, and then you look at some of the other campaigns that are on there, like we're pennies and dimes to these guys.
If you make my screen big, I think this is his cover. Katie did say it was because of the cover. I believe this is at the end. Hold on.
Oh, is it because it's because he had like a trans lady on there? I mean,
yeah, well, it's Cecil. He's a trans. I believe I believe gender fluid is what they would call him, because it would go back and forth, or you know, he might. Really, why does Cecil's gender need to be defined? You know, I mean, just to define it is an act.
I mean, like, I think that it was just all playing into a joke. And, at the end of the day, I'm sure Indiegogo probably said that there was some violation of their terms and agreements or what have you, or they just didn't want it associated with the site. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Oh, like, yeah. We don't expect you to like solve it.
You don't know that, Michael? Get off.
Dude, I don't.
We expect you to have inside information.
Contrary to look, man, I gave up the I in my name for knowledge of all ruins. This is well above my pay grade. So,
but the thing is, I mean, about the whole situation with Cecil, he already knew that was going to happen. Remember, like, you know, because for the past year, we've all known that Cash Grab 2 was going to be about, you know, what it is about. And he already said that he's predicting it's going to be canceled on Indiegogo. So I don't understand this kind of semi-controversy where he's acting surprised now. But, you know, because he knew that was going to happen. Because obviously that's not going to stand on the site.
Miranda's all excited about my sweater because she knows what I'm wearing.
I'm going to make you solo here. Let's see.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
Nice.
Yeah, get jealous of my dad. That's fantastic.
You
know, my what are you gonna do? Stab me, bro. My son loves this show. This shirt, like he thinks it is the funniest thing on the face of the planet. It completely goes over his head because he has no freaking clue who Julius Caesar is, outside of like my occasional tangential rants about the one of the goats. But I freaking he just thinks this is like, what are you gonna do? Stab me? And then he just starts like freaking maniacally laughing because he's a 6-year-old.
Miranda says my daughter's obsessed with Julius Caesar.
Yes, I know.
You got a smart daughter on your hands then. She's into that kind of history. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the Embrace 1 and 2 right here, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know, we were talking about the price of comic books. You got this for $20. Isn't that a little expensive?
Yeah. No. Not really for this. So as I said, it was $25 for a floppy isn't really good. This comic has 56 pages of story. So from cover to cover, you're looking probably around 64 pages. And then on top of that, our stretch goals for this campaign are not tchotchke based. We've actually invested it back into the book by upgrading the cover qualities. So like our A variant, the main variant of the book by Dean James, our series artist, is now, because we've crossed the stretch goal, is a UV spot gloss cover. Our cover B by Rini Strachowski is going to have a holofoil lava pattern.
Golly gee.
The cover C by Eder Macias and Avery Ferdinand is going to have a silver metallic holofoil treatment on there. When we fund this FundMyComic, the cover D by Michael Bancroft will have a rainbow holofoil treatment on it.
Of course.
And then, you know, the spooky season cover by Shelby Robertson. I'm blanking on where we have this as the stretch goal, but we haven't determined it yet. But I want to try and do spot foil on the spectral hands and make those like a silver glowing foil.
Oh my god!
So like that's what we're trying to do with this. Is just at the end of the day, the tchotchkes were great, but like crowdfunding's been going on and kind of in this state of boom for the past 5, almost 6 years now. So it's like everybody has freaking long boxes filled with tchotchkes of campaigns that they don't do jack shit with. So I figured it would be a nice thing to offer people something where it's like, hey, we're investing it back into the book. We're putting this back in there for you guys. And this is a nice little 12-page story preview for my next project, which I can talk about here in a little bit. I'm very excited about Elysian Fields, but let's talk Embrace. So, for those I know that Hojo came on and talked about the book, and honestly, Hojo's such a good dude. I got the chance to meet him like last year at a convention at Dulles Town Center, and then we linked up recently over at a Baltimore Comic-Con. We hanged out, like I had my kid and he had his missus around, and we hung out, grabbed dinner and everything like that. Great people. So the Embrace is this dark take on the superhero genre. So if you've never heard of this book before and you missed out on the first book, what effectively this story is that you've got this guy, Clarence Griffin, who is a grieving father. His son was murdered a year prior to the events to the story. And in that year, there hasn't been a lot of momentum on the case. And so the Alexandria Police Department has dropped it. And in an act of desperation, Clarence decides he's going to take his own life. But in that moment, he's stopped by the ghost of his son, David, who comes back. And when they reunite and Embrace, Clarence is given a vision of what happened the night his son was killed through his son's eyes, and he sees the people responsible. And when he comes to, he's in a super suit powered by his son's ghost, and together they are this spectral superhero bringing his child's murderers to justice. So that's where our story starts, and this is where it goes to. And you know, the second book, you know, we up the ante in pretty much every way. There's so much to talk about. Like Dean, his art in the first book is good, but it was his first comic book ever, and he has grown exceptionally since then. We have a new colorist on the book who's just like, his dynamic with Dean's lines is just freaking on another level. And then we just got some freaking awesome variant covers from a brilliant list of talent.
How did you find Dean? How did that happen?
Dude, it was a happy accident, really.
Mm-hmm. Is this that guy? Is this that Dean? This isn't that Dean, is it?
Oh, it is.
Is it with the Vicky lady or whatever?
Oh, no, not that Dean. No, Dean James, comics mate. He's an Aussie.
Okay.
No.
Oh, wait, still. What happened? Oh my gosh! And then you're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh my god.
No, we're talking about people with actual talent here.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
But so point is, all right. So where was I? What was the question?
How did you find Dean?
How did I find Dean?
Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of my good friends that I've made in this industry is a guy named Lee Byron Carver, also an Australian guy. He did a book a couple years ago called Company Men. He's been an editor on a bunch of really solid books, to include The First Embrace. But when I was first coming up with this idea, I wanted to do a black, I really wanted this to be my my homage to The Crow. And so I initially pictured this book in black and white, which is why we have a black and white spectral edition as part of our collect them all tier. That's every single book that we do, we will have the spectral edition of that issue as a part of the collector's tier, which is that box, right? So,
oh, here it is.
Yeah, that one, the $200 one that's got everything in the freaking world in there. But so I hit up Lee and I was like, all right, this is my pitch for the story. I want to do it in black and white. Is there anyone you would recommend? He was like, honestly, my buddy Dean, I think would be great. And he explained to me, Dean came from a tattoo artist background, right? He had been doing he had done animation in the past, but he had been working as a freelance tattoo artist. And so he had a really stark contrast of light and dark in his lines. And so I was like, okay, cool. And he's like, he also draws really good monsters. And so I was like, all right, awesome. I hit up Dean and we started talking and fucking hit it off. And I gave him the pitch of the book. And I was like, look, I'm having issues writing this script because I can't see him. Right. I couldn't see the character in my head. I knew the kind of visual elements and everything that I wanted. And I knew the motifs I wanted to play with the hands and everything like that. I knew all of that stuff, but I couldn't see it. And so we started talking and he gave me the first draft of his character sketch. And it was almost perfect. There were very few things that we needed to fix.
I got a question on that, Michael, because did you give him a description of, for example, what his costume might look like or what his powers are?
So yes and no. So things that I knew that I wanted. I knew that I wanted him to kind of shoot out spectral hands from his arms and stuff like that, kind of playing with making it feel almost like a symbiote Spider-Man type suit. And I knew that I wanted the motif of the hands coming down from the shoulder and and across the rib cage, because I wanted the hands to be kind of representative of David, his son's ghostly hands coming in and hugging his father and protecting his dad from harm. There were certain things like that I 100% knew that I wanted, but there was a lot of things where it's just well, I kind of want to pull from all these different styles. And so I would throw things at Dean and I was yeah, just figure out a way to make this happen. And then, he really brought all of these elements together and created this incredible design, I think. Every single time that we get somebody else working on the Embrace, their first thing that they say when they finish up a variant or something like that is, dude, this character was really fucking fun to draw. It's such a solid design. And that's Dean, one of Dean's great. I think Dean has two very big strengths as an artist. One, he has a really good sense of design. But the other big thing is, because he's not classically trained through through an academy or something like that, he doesn't have the same approach when he does layouts, and it allows him to be way more ambitious and think out of the box. Whereas when you've gone through and you've trained classically through sequential art and everything like that, that these are the rules and you can't break them and you have to do X, Y, and Z. Whereas Dean gets far more experimental with his layouts, and it leads to some very, very brilliant page turning spectacles. He's freaking great.
Yeah. It's funny what you said about the character design and all the different things you were telling him, because when I first saw this, the first time I saw this is when Hojo shared it on the show. And I was like, yeah, this is hitting the spot, because my initial thoughts are I'm seeing a little bit of Spider-Man, I'm seeing a little bit of Quicksilver, a little bit of Spawn, a little bit of Venom. All the you want to pull the best elements from these other successful characters. But I do want to tell you though, all this is great. But you know what really sold me on the comic? If you scroll down, Pat, Moe's Tavern. The Moe's Tavern reference.
there's that, but the other great thing is it's not just Moe's Tavern. If you notice that there's no E there, so that's
yeah, of course.
One of the things that Dean and I like to do, well, I should say Dean does with these art pages, is there's all these little references to the people that hang out in the chat on our shows. So this is Mo Biggs. So like if you've ever been in a chat and seen Mo Biggs, that's him. So this is Moe's Tavern, but
nice.
it's for Mo Biggs. You'll see like an Arrogant Ape if you've ever seen him in a chat. There you've got ape like an ape shot. There's a General Piggy's barbecue somewhere.
Oh
there.
wow! Nice. Look at that right there. Wow,
that's cool, man.
There's all these fun little Easter eggs as a fun little thank you to all the people that like do that. And like you'll have people that do like the drawn in tears and everything like that, and those are great. Like I'm not gonna go and dog on anybody for doing that. They're awesome. But this is just things that like Dean will be like, hey, like we'll straight up just post up on Twitter, be like, hey, I'm trying to fill some space on I'm drawing a cityscape and I need some signs. Like anyone want to appear on a sign or something like that. And so then he'll get a hit up by like General Piggy or what have you, and he'll be like, oh, awesome, cool. And then he creates like a General Piggy's barbecue or some shit like that. And it's really fun. It's a fun way to just kind of say thank you to everybody.
Yeah, zoom in on that General Piggy's barbecue thing. Like, can you like maybe like blow up that page and another page and then zoom in on there?
Let me see.
Patrick. It's you got it.
I like a General Q, I think's got that. I'll see if I can't bring that up on my end.
Yeah, I always General Piggy. That's awesome. Like
so it's
I don't know if I can zoom in more than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes
I got it.
You got it? Here, go ahead and
I'll screen share right now. Give me just a sec.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because General Piggy always like he watches the show sometimes and he always like shares the stuff and everything. I mean, that's what I'm saying, like, oh, and it's got like a little pig on there too.
Yeah. He's full on it's General Piggy's, and there's Arrogant Ape, there's there's all sorts of references.
Who's that with the blonde guy right there?
He's said this before too, and I can't remember who it is. But this is also another reference to somebody in the community, right? And that's the great thing. Like there's like an Eat My Shorts Simpsons reference there. There's so much in the first book. There, like, I don't know if anyone remembers Blue Samurai Zero, but like there is a Blue Samurai graffiti, piece of graffiti in the first book. Like we try to make sure that we throw in nice little nods to the people that have really helped push us along the way.
Very cool. We got a Hojo here. He says, "What up, fellas? I know that Ogden guy."
Oh, I know that Hojo guy. And we've got a Dean James in the chat.
Where is Dean? Is it Comicsmate?
He's Comicsmate. Yeah, that's him.
That's Bancroft and his giant forehead, he says there.
That's Bancroft and his giant forehead. There we go.
Welcome, guys. Welcome.
So Bancroft has 2 cameos in her book. He's getting hog spots. Bancroft actually has his own character in the first book that in this script is straight up called Bancrofficer.
That's awesome. Oh man. So let's look at the options here that we've got, shall we?
Yeah, man.
So first we've got the spooky season catch-up tier.
Yes. So this is a fantastic, one of the things is obviously this is the first FundMyComic that we brought the Embrace to. So I wanted to make sure that there was front and center a way for anybody that's missed out on the book to get the entire story packaged together. So what you get with this is you get the first book with a special Joel Gomez cover, which I'll talk about here in a sec. And then you've got the spooky season Shelby Robertson cover. You also get a mini print by Jason Bascom and Ink Spots. You get 3 trading cards the art was done by Rich Ayala from Roach Balls, which include a Sully versus Embrace card, a Strangle card, and a Embrace card. And then you get a Ink Spots chibi sticker, and then you get a Embrace sticky hand. That's glow in the dark, which is like kind of our thing that we've done since the first book.
Dude, it's so cool, honestly.
But so you get all of that for $50, with pretty decent shipping rates. Then all of the covers of the book you get for $20. And I should note that every single one of these tiers comes with a digital. Oh, I forgot to talk about the Joel Gomez cover. Joel Gomez, so that's part of that. That's for the first book. So for that catch-up tier, you get a Joel Gomez cover that is partnered with the Virginia Victims Assistance Network. I might have to bring it up here. Hold on. I'll screen share it.
Okay.
Right.
But like that's it right there, the Virginia Victims Assistance Network cover. And so one of the the emotional drive for the Embrace one was I was going through a divorce and custody fight. And so like that was kind of like the emotional thing behind the Embrace. But the story of Clarence and David came from a article that I read when shortly after James was born, where this 14-year-old kid's body was found in this park that he used to walk through called Holmes Run River Park. And the first thing that you think when you see this after having a newborn is like, that could have been my kid. Right. And so that had always stuck with me. And when I was going through what I was going through in 2021, when I came up with the Embrace, that story came back to my mind. And that's where David and Clarence came from. And so this last year, in November of 2023, the murderers of that kid that was found in Holmes Run River Park were sentenced. And so I had the idea to do this cover as a tribute. So we have Joel Gomez did this beautiful watercolor cover where you've got the Embrace. He's at Holmes Run River Park, and at the park there's this portion that very frequently overflows from like the river that's there. And there are these stepping stones for when it overflows across the walk path. And so we have the Embrace on those stepping stones, and he's looking down into the water and sees the reflection of David and Clarence looking back up at him. And this is our nice little tribute. And so the cool thing about this cover is every single one of these that's sold. So, and by that, this also includes this catch-up tier. $5 goes to the Virginia Victims Assistance Network. They are a group that does a lot for victims of all sorts of different crimes in the state of Virginia. But what our $5 is going to specifically is they host a support group for homicide survivors, which are like the family and loved ones of victims of homicide. And so in that way, the Embrace actually gets to be a hero for these people in real life.
That's amazing.
Very nice cover.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling too many feelings right now. I usually don't like to feel too many feelings.
It's fairly like,
Let's scroll up to the other covers. I'm gonna get the action-packed cover.
Oh, 100%. Well, and so that's just the cover for the first book that you get. But like we've got tons of great like so you've got this the spooky season cover by Shelby Robertson, which is just absolutely gorgeous, and it's got those deep purples and oranges and everything and all the skulls and stuff. So it's the perfect cover to get to celebrate the Halloween season, right?
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, I love it.
Fantastic.
This all looks A+, bro. As soon as I saw that first trailer,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is the shit. Which leads me to the question, man. why haven't I seen you on like every stream? You know, like
Yeah.
So it's freaking hard now. Like, so it's crazy. The first book that I did, like the first one of these books was, I did it back in 2021, and we raised at the very end, which was, I want to say like 3 months, we had brought in like a little over 15K, had almost 300 backers and stuff like that. And we had, done a mailing list for the second book where we got 600 people signed up for the mailing list. And I was supposed to launch the second book last year, and then I lost my job. And so I was like, all right, everything has to go on hold. Like, I was even in the middle of fulfilling a book at the time, and I had to let my backers know. I was like, look, I've got to get my life together before I can even fuck with this. So I got my job. I got a new job, finished fulfilling my last book. Then I had done a co-production with Global Frequency Studios called Judex that was out last year. That did fairly well. Very happy with how that turned out. And so now we're doing this book, and it's just been difficult. Over the past couple of years, there's just been so many fallouts with all sorts of different stuff. The people, some of the people that I know don't even do the indie comics thing anymore, and so it's just been difficult. It really has been. So
this needs to be on more shows. This is top 10 out of all the Comicsgate books.
I'm trying, and like, we've got some really good response to the first book. Like, yeah, I am very fortunate in, at this point I have written 9 projects, I think sounds about right, between the ones that I've produced, things I've written for other people, and stuff like that. I've done written 9 projects, and then if you count my editing work, I've been on like 12 or 15, right? I've done a lot in the 4 or 5 years that I've been active, and I've been very fortunate in the response that I have gotten to all of my books. But there's something special about this book, and it is like every single time that we have somebody read the first book, they're a new fan. Thank you, sweetheart. But and that's the whole thing, is I'm always down to go on a show and talk, and I like to think that whenever I get to talk about the Embrace, I get at least somebody new interested, right? And I'm excited. I've got a few really cool shows coming up. Obviously, we have tonight, which is great. This is awesome. On Friday, I'll be going on Vera Dark, which is very exciting. She's got a massive platform, and I'm hoping to reach some new people there, because that's ultimately what it's about, right? Is getting the story out to new people and having and building an audience and expanding and pushing out beyond where I was before. I would love to be able to, by the time that we finish up the FundMyComic and the Kickstarter and everything, have 300-400 backers, right? Between that, Indiegogo, and everything like that. I would love to be at that position. That would make nothing would make me happier. And
yeah, it's gonna grow. I see this growing a lot, and I'd like to think that it started here on Commandos when Hojo brought it up, because that got the ball rolling. And now everyone who sees this, I mean, it sells itself, to be honest, man. You see the trailer, you look at this, it sells itself. It really does. It just needs exposure.
I agree, and I'd like to think that the next year is going to be a big year for me as a creator and everything. I've got obviously the Embrace 2 we're doing right now, and I'm working hard on the Embrace 3 script, which might even get broken up into 2 separate books. But then next spring I'm doing the launch of Elysian Fields Reborn, which is a reboot of the first book that I ever did on the indie scene. And that's where this preview comes in. So this is a 12-page story preview of Elysian Fields, which is as simply put as possible, Mortal Kombat with heroes of mythology.
Nice.
It's underworld tournament where all of the gods of the dead from respective mythologies have teams of heroic champions from their respective cultural mythologies pit them in battles against one another to determine the next Lord of the Underworld. So,
that's a sick idea, dude. That's amazing.
So like our main characters are Team Hades, and our lead is Achilles. And so Team Hades comprises of Achilles, Heracles, and Hippolyta. And so this project is like a culmination of everything that I've done in 4 years, all that I've learned in the past 5 years. And we're doing an 8.5 by 11 prestige format. We've got a completely new art team. We've got some fucking amazing variant covers that I'm really excited to announce. When we finish the FundMyComic, I'm going to let a couple weeks go by in November because I don't want to compete with the election at all. I would literally rather get my brain cleaned with a sponge of bleach. I don't want to be anywhere near that. But once the election is resolved, I'm gonna do the Kickstarter of the Embrace. So in between that, I'm gonna be making some big Elysian Fields announcements. But
very cool.
The cool thing about this is this 12-page story preview is $10, and if you're in the domestic United States, that is including your shipping. So you don't pay any additional shipping on this. Just $10 gets you the 12-page preview, which is effectively the introduction of our version of Achilles.
$10 for 12 pages.
Speaking of introductions, God, that was a perfect segue. Let me bring on Katie Did. What's going on, Katie?
Yeah.
Hey,
what's up, Katie?
Thanks for coming on.
Hey,
Hey, Katie.
good to see everybody. So, Michael, I just want to say, I am loving this book, and I agree with Carbon Heart. It needs to be put out there more. I feel like it's so underrated. It needs to be out there. People need to know about this book. It's not only because the art is amazing, but the fact that the story behind it, your inspiration, the fact that you're willing to help Virginia Assistance Program to those families, and it's just such a overall good book, and I'm so excited to read it, and I can't wait to back it again this week. So super excited.
I appreciate it. And thank you so much for the kind words. It really means a lot. I am grateful for everyone that's gone out and pushed the link around, and I'm grateful to everyone that's obviously had me on their shows, because that's really obviously a big thing, is going out and talking to people and letting people see the book and getting new audiences to take a look.
Oh yeah. And they said that was it Carbon Heart? You said that you first saw it here with Hojo. I saw it on Lord Finatra's channel. That's how I came across Michael.
Hey, Katie, hold on now. I get it. We all know you have a big channel, okay? And you had them on first, but I'm saying Hojo brought it up on here, and the ball got rolling. Hey, look, I'm also giving Hojo credit. It's not just us. Also Hojo.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, because when Michael, when you got on Finatra's, your pitch was just, it sucked me in. And because I've listened to a lot of people's pitches for their campaigns, some hit, some don't, but I don't know, yours got me sucked into it. What is this story about? Tell me more. I want to know more. And it's just so cool to see how well you've been doing. It's really cool to see from where you were to where you are now. And I'm just so excited for you, man.
I appreciate it, seriously. And it's always a fun time going on Finn's. He's a fun dude.
He is.
And ultimately that's what it comes down to, though, is you just got to keep going out there and trying to push. And the sad fact of the matter is that there is a lot of the content creators that used to do a lot of indie promotion either don't do indie promotion anymore, or they've pivoted, or they're no longer there's so many different dividing lines. And I feel every single time that I've stepped away to focus on my personal life or what have you, and like kind of take a break. I come back and it's like a nuclear bomb has gone off. So
Well, and you're right. It is sad to see that a lot of the big guys here in CG and just in the indie community itself really don't do much promotion anymore. And in some terms, I can kind of understand it. I've had my own little experience with
It's-
it. You know, people
and
not thinking you
I
promoted them
completely-
enough and all. So
I think that
I
like
get it.
there's a level of it where there are a lot of people that have tried to do right by smaller creators.
Mhm.
And what it comes down to is that you'll have a lot of smaller creators that'll go on these bigger shows and expect
Mhm.
that just because they're there, they're going to get a lot from it. But at the end of the day, nobody can sell your book like you.
Yes,
Right.
that's what I'm talking. That's why I always say your pitch and how you sell it to me and the audience is the most important thing. I always say you could have the most beautiful comic, the most beautiful art, better than anybody else's, but if you don't have the pitch to land it, you're not going to go anywhere with it. And that's why
The
I
pitch,
keep
yeah.
reminding you about your
Yeah.
pitch that you did on Finatra. And that's why I clipped it. And that's why it's on my channel and I put it on Twitter because I want people to see how you did it. Those that have campaigns to say, okay, I like how he delivered that. All right. So I need to really get into the depths of it because you got to think too. Yes, there's a lot of y'all who are huge comic book fans, but I'm a normie. You know, I'm a mom looking for stuff. So if you can get a normie hooked, you got it. You got it nailed in the bag. Like pretty much. If you can get me hooked on it, you won. So no, it's and you know what? It's and you're so right too. You know, it's in my experience. You know, I one time had someone who was upset that I had them on. Well, they had a Kickstarter, and I said at the time, I said, "Well, I don't mind Kickstarters, but I said, but right now, not a lot of people want to back on Kickstarter,
Yeah.
so I
At least not
suggest
in
maybe
your-
having a second option."
Yeah.
And
Like, at least
so
not in
they
your
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did, and they came on my show, and it was good, but he got no backers, and he ended up getting upset with me, you know, that I made him go through that whole process. And I said, well, honey, I could sit there and be a snake saleswoman and tell you all the, you know, my audience, everything they need to know. But if you don't, it's all about your delivery. You know, you gotta persuade the people who are watching. So
Well, you know, the pitch is everything, and it's funny you say that. The other day on Dr. Ben's channel, shout out to Dr. Ben, by the way. I was on his channel,
yeah,
and we were talking about basically how some books, although they look great, aren't doing as well. And I think the pitch makes. We've talked about this on here before.
Pitch
Even
definitely makes a big
Patrick's book, Phenomenon.
Uh-huh.
You need a few quick a few lines of the pitch to grab someone's attention, because that can outdo even like if the quality of everything else is kind of just even average, with a good hook, you can sell people on it for sure.
Exactly. You're
There's
absolutely
people
right.
going around these days, and it's kind of annoying. There's people going around these days who are saying their pitch is, I worked really hard on this. Or their pitch is, I need to make this much money.
That doesn't mean anything.
Right. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make people want to buy your book. You know, people want to buy
There
your book
was-
because of how cool it is, not because you need them to buy your book.
Like
Right.
at the end of the day, and this is something I've seen some people debate this, that, or the other, where it's like, oh well, you know, I need to be able to make this back, or I need to be able to do this, or you know, like and the whole fact of the matter is that all right, crowdfunding as a business model is by definition grassroots. Now, there are people that have had decades of industry experience where they already have a captured audience that they are guaranteed to effectively bring in enough revenue to do X, Y, or Z with any of that. Most of us are not in that freaking category. So to compare ourselves to them is silly. So when it comes down to it, crowdfunding is a completely grassroots endeavor, which means by and large, you have to invest in this up front. And face the very stark reality that there is a very good chance that you're not making your money back on it. Like this is a conscious decision that you are making as a business to invest in the development of your product to a point to convince an audience to help in the completion of said product. And that's what your funding goal needs to be, is what do you need to get the product out the door into the customer, right? Like
Exactly.
that's what it is. So, but like there's all this focus of, oh, well, I need to do this, I need to do that. I was like, look, man, if you want to, like, if you want to be serious about this and make books, you have to accept, just like any business, that you're probably going to be in the red for a bit, because that's what this is. Like
Right.
But if you make it all about, I need to make the money back, and not why you should back the book, why should, like, not even why you should back the book, why should you care about the story? Because at the end of the day, that's the real reason why people back things. The stories are a universal, a universal element that brings everyone together. There has never been a point in time where a person walks by a fire or
man down, man. Where's Carbon?
Oh no!
Where?
I think the Chinese got
taken out. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
you're all good, man.
No, but I agree with you, Michael. You have to, like you said, accept the reality that, yeah, this is probably going to hurt the wallet a little bit, but I think if the person is passionate enough and really is invested in their story and just wants people to read their story just to hear their feedback, you can go a long way. I mean, you got to show that compassion. You got to, as me as a normie, you have to show me that you are very serious about your campaign, your comic, and that you are so invested in your story that you are dying for people just to read it, not the money, just to read it, to get invested in your characters. That's how you do it. So no, I agree. I agree definitely.
Carbon will return.
Yeah.
The Chinese got
in my mind how some of these guys are, they're trying to sell their book by saying, I need this money to make this much back because I worked this hard on it. It's like, bro, nobody, like, everybody's
not special.
Everybody in the world has their bills that they're paying for, that they're worrying about, and now you're asking them to pay of their own money to give to you to pay for your bills, but you don't have anything to offer them in return.
And Patrick, to that point, nobody asked anybody to make a fucking book.
Exactly.
Like this is a this is a complete personal choice of you as a creator. Yes, it would be great to go in the green on a project. I was very lucky when I did Elysian Fields issue 0. When I first started back in 2020, I went green and was able to invest into its follow-up Elysian Fields Pyramid Campaign, which I lost a lot of money on. It was like I almost stopped doing comics because of it. But at the end of the day, like, this is just how it goes. If you want to do this, you figure out a way to make it work.
Right.
But like, you can't sit here if you sit here and say, oh, well, I need to make my money back on this, that, the other, you're not going to get people to back you, because now they don't feel like they're backing a project. They feel like now they don't feel like they're ordering a story. They're buying into this thing that's important. They feel like they're enabling your hobby.
Right. They feel like Dark Side Phil backers, if you guys know who that is.
Like the thing that I look at, right? If I sell my comic and I have $350,000 worth of sales, and then I say I can't make another one because I actually lost money. I lost 50 grand on that $350,000. I am such a fucking retard that I can't manage that money
Mm.
without a loss of $50,000 because I miscalculated shipping.
Ah, you're talking
Man,
about
like,
Razor
what does
Fist.
that tell you? That says that you don't know. You have 350,000. Patrick, I give you
You paid
$350,000.
$25,000 out of pocket.
I
You
would
paid
like to ask
25 grand
Michael
out of
first
pocket.
if Michael's okay, because I don't want to bring Michael on to a conversation that he's not.
No, well, I mean,
All right, so this is what I will say about the whole Razor Fist situation, because I know a little bit
No, it's about
it.
the shipping. It's a good
Well, that's
lesson
fine.
for everybody to
I know.
learn.
if you
But, like,
have
it-
that, like that
what-
just shows it goes exactly with what you were saying, is that
But what I will also say about the Razor Fist situation is, from what I can tell, he was working with the wrong person from an artist perspective. And I'm not going to go into any of the drama stuff because I don't give a shit about any of
there's
this.
No, you're good. No, you're good. But it's a great lesson to
But-
learn from
But
that.
what I
You
would
know,
say is that, from what I understand, Razor Fist's artist had, from the clip that I saw, Razor Fist artist had repeatedly thrown around the $1 million thing as the benchmark of where they needed to be profitable. That is so utterly full of shit.
right.
Mhm.
And this
That's
is
what I'm saying.
this
That
is-
they're just grifters. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
It feeds
well,
into
I don't
they're
even
just
think
coming here to just
I don't even think.
Well, it's not.
grifters
It's
are
not
like-
just
I think what
grifters. It's the
happens
fact
is-
that
yeah.
somebody has this particular person had, just because of the name Razor Fist, was going to automatically make that money, and you can't think that way. You
Well,
really
He
can't.
looked at the whole Eric July 3.4 million. He
Well,
looked
Yes.
at Eric
at
made
the end of the
3.4,
day, that,
so what is
that
Razor
comes
going to
down
make?
to Eric was on a national syndicated news network promoting his book.
Right.
Like, Mike Barron had the same thing happen back when he was doing, I think it was Thin Blue Line, where Fox News had him on. Obviously,
Yeah,
that
I've heard
freaking
about
took him
that.
through the roof. But
Yeah.
Mike Barron hasn't had another book that has come near those numbers, and it's not because Mike Barron doesn't deserve that kind of money. It's because that's what happens when you have a national news syndicate pushing
Mhm.
you on
exactly.
on their thing. But the whole, I look at this from this standpoint. Okay, I think Ghost of the Badlands is what, 80, maybe 100 pages, right? Now,
So, yeah,
Yes.
60 to 80, I think.
most people, when you're looking around this scene for a well executed artistically book, are paying around $250 a page, maybe 300, right? So your art overhead is going to be around 20 grand
Mm-hmm.
for that length of book, right? I don't think Ghost of the Badlands had multiple variant covers, so that's not really an expense. Then you look at printing costs and what have you. With 350,000, he's probably getting rates of between $1 to 60 cents per book, depending on what printer he's using and where they're coming from, right? Because he's not going to be doing
Right.
small digital print runs. He's going to be doing offset printing, likely overseas, because that's how that shit works. That's the industry. And so, you're at the end of the day, there's no reason why he should have needed $1 million to turn a profit.
No.
Right.
And it sends
I-
a bad message to those that are trying to do their comic and look to that. It sends a very bad message to them.
It
It's
is
not a good way to look up to.
Exactly.
it is disheartening in one way. I think that the biggest problem is, and I don't even put this on Razor Fist. I put this way more on the artist, because it, at the end of the day, in order for you to sit here and say that we need to be make $1 million to be profitable, that means that you're expecting effectively $1,000 per page of your work,
Yeah.
which I don't think that you would have even from the only people that I could see being charging those kind of rates and it being okay, yeah, that's acceptable, or people like frickin' Brett Booth. And at the end of the day, if you have Brett Booth doing the interiors of a graphic novel and he's promoting it, you're gonna make that money back.
Right.
That's a guy who is a household name in most corners of the comic book industry. So it's like those are the only types of people that are going to be worth that much. I don't like it. I didn't really know, and this could even just be me not being that tapped into this stuff, but I didn't really know who Razor Fist's artist was. Like I wouldn't have been able to go and look at his professional creds. Doesn't mean he didn't have a lot of impressive stuff, but it's not like he's a household name.
Yeah, and that's another missed opportunity for. This is sometimes something that happens to people is they have an opportunity to get their name out there. So Georgie Alexopoulos certainly got his name out there with Ghost of the Badlands with Razor Fist because of Razor Fist's name, essentially.
Right.
And he could have,
and his art in there is very good.
It's very good. It's beautiful. I have the book over here. I mean, strangely enough, the one issue I had with the book was there was a weird third act slump, which would be Razor Fist's fault, but it's still a good book. It's a good Western. The art is gorgeous, beautiful. The coloring is good too. I mean, the chromatic enhancement is good too. And it's just one of those things where Georgie could have just stayed the course, made the next book, and really, really built his name up, and then could start charging higher things than what he had been charging. But it's like I want instant, Mange / EVS / John Malin level success. I want it, and I want it right now. And if I don't get it, then it's a failure. And it's like, no, dude. Like you were saying earlier, Michael, it's a lot of this is you're gonna not. I don't think they went into the red. If I'm being honest, I mean, $450,000. It'd be hard to believe.
They very well could have. They very well could have though. And it all depends on who they were using for printing. There's all sorts of things.
That's just being irresponsible with your money, though.
Right.
I mean, in all honesty,
how much did
you need to control? You need to control your budget because it's possible to be profitable even on 5 figures. I mean, if you raise 10 grand, right, it's still possible to be profitable. You just need to be realistic with your budget. So,
100%.
It smells a little bit fishy. The whole conversation's going on about this.
I wouldn't say that it smells fishy. I just think that what you have here is you have an artist who got more ambitious than his shoes, where his feet could fit into his shoes, right? Yeah. He thought that he would he thought that because literally no artist on the face of the planet that's like a burgeoning talent is going to look at $350,000 on a campaign and go, we fucked up.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Well,
let me comment about George Alexopoulos because, and by the way, I'm back.
How y'all can pronounce his name? Yeah. Good God.
They tried to take me out.
Wait, real quick before you continue, Carbon. Katie, can you please say the word omnibus?
Omnibus?
Wow. Okay. Continue, Carbon.
Did I do it?
Good. It was good.
Yay.
You did it.
How much did it cost?
We're gonna help you on here, Katie. But anyway, George Alexopoulos is the guy who's in that music video that Yana Fui created, that Ethan plays on his channel.
Oh yeah,
the begging song, "I'm Begging," which is the cover of
I don't think Michael watches Ethan's show, so
no. I don't really watch any of the drama stuff. I am so not interested in any of that.
There's a music video.
Mr. Yana Fui's YouTube channel.
Yeah, Yana Fui is a guy who makes music videos, and he takes clips from the various Comicsgate streams, and then he actually re-records covers of songs. So he did that song "I'm Begging," that famous song that recently was covered by another band. It's originally by Frankie Valli. It's a hilarious video though because he takes clips of different artists who went on Ethan's stream who wanted to get a piece of the action, basically, where there's clips of. It starts out with George Alexopoulos, actually, where he's the first time he went on Ethan's channel, he was giving his sob story, saying, "Yeah, Maneskin's the band," but he was telling Ethan, he's like, "Oh, I got canceled. Suddenly, no one's, I got no options, I got no work," and then Ethan's saying, "Oh, all right, come on the streams, we'll get you work," and George sounded like such a I mean, it was quite a sob story. I mean, he sounded like a little lost little lamb, to be honest.
Oh, I
And
thought
he's a great
you said
artist.
pussy.
I'm not discrediting. No, he's a great artist. But if you listen to the clip, it's hilarious because he's like, "I need help, guys, please, I need help." And then later on, the whole point of the video is that everybody turns their back on Ethan, where it's like it starts out with the whole sob story. Then it's like, "I'm begging you,
Yeah.
let me back on your street." But they backstab him in the end because they want more. You know, this story, this is a perfect anecdote because it proved that George started from that sob story, and now he's like, I want more, and it's not enough, and that happens all the time with the. It's like the Padawan learner from Star Wars turning their back against the Jedi Master, kind of. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Anyway.
What?
Yeah.
Come on, drugs. What are you doing? What happened there?
Now he's on his acid trip, Dr. Ben.
Yeah.
Helen Cookie says, I heard Ghost of the Badlands is just Brokeback Mountain yaoi fan fiction. No. Let's be very clear here.
How much was the book?
Ghost of the Bad, I think it was 35, 40
It
bucks.
was 35. It was 35, which for the length of it was fine. I
How
can't
many?
recall.
Like 80 pages?
Yeah.
It was like 80, maybe 90. Like
Yeah.
it's a pretty thick book, and it's also 8.5 by 11 prestige format. So it's not a flop. It's not like standard traditional comic book size either. So like $35 for that. It's a pretty solid book. My copy unfortunately got destroyed by my 6-year-old when I was looking.
Toddlers are good at
George's
that.
work is fantastic. Okay,
Yeah, like
we can talk all we want about George being whatever, but his work is beautiful. And
the book is fairly solid. I had some minor issues with it from like a whole other standpoint in terms of some of the writing, but like it wasn't anything that was like deal breaking. Like it works for the setting. It's just not how I would have personally handled it.
Yeah.
But like the book was solid. So like I didn't have any issues with it from that standpoint at all. But I do think like when I heard Razorfist talk about the fact that his artist had said that like in order for them to make a profit they needed $1 million, I was just like, how does that work? And I was just like scratching my head because like I look at my overheads on my projects, which tend to be anywhere between 10 and 20 grand.
Yeah.
Right. So like if I make 100K, like that's enough for me to literally be like, okay, I can seriously consider this as a career and stop. Like
right.
Not necessarily stop doing my day job, but really commit towards like this is something that I can do and build to a full-time thing. Like I might be able to actually churn out 2 or 3 books a year.
Just
like,
because you can take that extra and invest it in your next project.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like if like if I'm able to do like if I'm able to clear like 20-30K on the Embrace 2, like that's a very sizable portion of that gets invested into the next book. Like if I'm able to make like 30-40K on the Elysian Fields Reborn book, which I think is going to be very reasonable to be able to do, especially with some of the cover talent that I have on it. Like that's something where I can go and I can develop the next book and I can do that faster. I can be able to do all that stuff. So it's one of these things where I get very confused when I see people talk about it. And it's also a whole thing of, as a writer, like I don't have the option of, oh, well, I'm just going to do this full time. Like this is all I'm going to do. I don't like writing work doesn't come in like that. And when it does, it doesn't pay near the same level. So I do have other jobs that I do. Like I do have a day job. So it's one of these things that this is very much something I take seriously, and it's a business I want to build and continue building. But like, it's also not the only thing that I do. Now, if I was making 100K on a campaign, obviously none of that money goes anywhere until that book is complete and in the hands of my customers.
Yes.
But like, that's where I start going, okay, I need to really kind of shift around my priorities.
Mhm.
And so I hear these things where it's like, oh, we need $1 million to be profitable, and I just go, how?
Yeah.
Like,
You're like,
Well-
oh, shut
I'm very confused.
Well, this is where the whole YouTuber becoming indie creators has been a little bit of a paradigm shift, and to a degree has damaged the scene. Because, like Katie said
Mhm.
earlier, I agree that it could discourage basically people who want to start out with crowdfunding, and they know that they're not going to make a ton of money, and then
So
they see
Sleeping
these.
really quickly, not to interrupt you, I do see a good question here though from Sleeping Psychopathy. How are they selling on Amazon? Is it just a print to order kind of deal? That's generally how that works.
Yeah.
Is
Mhm.
Amazon has like kind of like a self-publishing thing, and
Yeah.
everything, so long as you submit the print files and everything like that, everything's print to order.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Carbon.
Sorry about that, Carmen.
What I was saying is that this whole example that's being said of millions of dollars on these campaigns, Eric July kind of changed the paradigm, you know. So YouTubers who are first and foremost, they have a channel based on popularity, and then they create a product, and not the other way around, right? It's setting the example where, like, crowdfunding, you know, people might think it's not going to work for them now. Other creators who want to get into it, myself included, because I haven't put out a book yet, but I want to, and I'm working on it. And it's like, okay, if I'm not a YouTuber with a huge channel, it's like, oh, fuck me then, because
So
I'm not going to get $1 million campaign, you know?
What I will say here is this: crowdfunding should never have been the ultimate way to do this business from the get-go. It is a great place to start because, as I said, it's grassroots, right? But the whole idea to me is, if I was at the position where I was making, like, let's say I was able to make like $400,000 on a campaign. All right. Well, now I have effectively proven that I have an IP of worth and can then go and get distributors attracted to what I am putting out and start bringing in smaller creators and effectively creating an indie like in a new image type imprint where everybody retains ownership over their IPs. Everyone's effectively in their micro studio, and it's all part of a big parent thing where we have distribution, where effectively it becomes, okay, everybody, this is how we make up for the volume aspect when we get it, we get things out. But like, crowdfunding should literally be, it's your grassroots. And I don't think for that, in fact, I don't think that that's ever going to change, Carbon. Like, if you're looking at doing a book, I don't think that there's ever going to be a point where, so long as you're able to pitch your book well and you have a quality comic, you're going to be able to find people to back you and get you to where you need to be to get it finished and everything like that. But the goal should be to expand beyond that and use crowdfunding as a stepping stone to move beyond it. And I think that that's one of the big things that, you know, myself included, that people have made mistakes on in the past 5 years, where we have become so heavily reliant on crowdfunding as a model, and we need to start looking at branching out beyond it.
Well, it's all about networking, right, Michael? It's all about getting to know people in your community, reaching, interacting in these chats, these streams and these chats, interact with people, talk to people.
But more
yes, you can't just expect people to jump. Yeah.
Conventions, your local comic book stores. Look, man, like at comic book stores, even if they're not able to purchase what you've got, print out flyers with QR codes in some of your interiors.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the end of the day, like that's what it comes down to, is you need to be able to expand your base and push beyond.
Yeah.
Like that's, And that's what it really comes down to, is crowdfunding is by definition grassroots. And that's never where a business wants to stay. You want to expand beyond grassroots. Grassroots are great for getting your foundation. And then you expand your network, as Katie was saying, through promotion, through channel development, through exposure at conventions, local comic book stores, stuff like that. And then you build something else, something bigger, as you bring in more titles to your repertoire, or if you're able to band together with other indie publishers and effectively create some sort of shared corporate entity to effectively have everybody in as micro proxy studios, and then you get distribution deals because you have the volume that they're looking to put on a shelf. And that's what it comes down to.
Michael, I would like to ask you this. So it seems to me, like you saying crowdfunding is the grassroots, you don't want to stay in the grassroots. However, it seems to me that when you stay in the grassroots and you take the responsibility of, shipping and all, the creation of the book and then the shipping to everybody, when you take it upon yourself, once you get to a certain point, and I'm mostly talking about, let's call them, what are we going to call them? I'm going to call them the triumvirate, the top three Comicsgate,
indie comics in general, because there are people that make even more than Ethan and them that are on other platforms.
Exactly. And so what I'm saying is, like, it seems to me that Ethan's got like all the stuff with his wife and all that aside, just based off the money he takes in versus the work that he puts out, the amount of comic books that he puts out, he makes a fucking killing, and he saves a lot of the money that he would otherwise be spent on essentially employing other companies to do the work for him that he doesn't want to do. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think that there is a degree of I don't necessarily disagree, but I do think that when you have, like, let's take a look at this, right? Rainbow the Brute is the one that he is working on currently, correct?
Yes.
Right? Like, that's the one that's being finished up. Okay. That campaign came out 2021. So it's 2024 now. Is it still open? Can people still back it?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think it's just the toy.
Yeah, I think it's just the toy that people can back.
I'm pretty sure you can still back the comic.
No. You could still back the campaign, the comic, but he did put out the toys. And what will happen is by the time the book is out in fulfillment, you will also get the action figure.
They'll be fulfilling around the same time. Okay.
Yes.
So the point here is that at that point, Ethan has been working on this same book for all that time. Is he really saving more money by doing that when he could have worked and done Rainbow the Brute and done multiple books in that period of time? And been able to have the same, like, let's say he was able to bring in some people to, like, streamline the process a little bit. Let's just, for the sake of argument, right? Like, because at the end of the day, this is all hypothetical stuff, right? We're just playing around with things. At the end of the day, is it better to have, let's say, Rainbow the Brute did what, like 400,000 or 500,000?
Yeah, it's doing pretty well, actually.
Well, and a good chunk of that was raised in its first year. So, and like, this isn't me dogging on anybody. This is just trying to.
No, speak your mind.
I think it'd be hard to work on it personally. Like, it feels like it'd be like a joke that you kind of made, and you're like, I think I gotta make this fucking thing now. Jesus, like, if I don't make it good, it's not. People are gonna laugh at it. So you gotta like.
But like, there's a reason why. Like, I feel like this is where it's like, all right. So he has 537,814 US dollars raised by 4,612 backers. That's currently When the campaign finished, it was 355,362 USD by 2,800, a little over 2,800 backers in January 29th of 2021. So he's gained an additional almost 2,000 backers since then in 3 years, almost 4. Which is good. Like, there's no way in that where it's like, those are numbers that I will never be able to do unless like things drastically change in my life in the next like year, right? That's just I don't have decades of industry experience, and I have never worked on a big 2 book like Green Lantern, right? I am never going to do those kinds of numbers unless I end up doing something like that.
Well, you also got to, Michael, you also got to think too that when he eventually closes his campaign, there's going to be a lot more people backing it because it's going to like officially close. And
yeah, but you also have to take in consideration that he's also lost a bunch of backers because of that. And he's lost a bunch of future support because of it. And you'll see, if you go to any of his campaigns, you do see long lists of people asking for refunds and what have you. And that's a very real thing. There is a lot of discontent in the amount of time that it takes to bring a project to life. And I'm not going to sit here and belabor a point with him. If he this is how he's doing things and it's working for him. I'm not going to sit here and like go on about it. Like, it's, I hope Rainbow the Brute comes out in time, the new Rainbow Bright reboot. That'd be funny. But like, I mean, I know plenty of people that do multiple books at a time, and it does, like, the guy, I know plenty of artists that juggle multiple books. It's all about how you manage that time. And the big thing is that Ethan also spends a lot of time streaming, and that's a very large part of how he maintains his ability to do what he does. And that's fine. But but at the end of the day, that's where I personally would have handled things differently. There's nothing necessarily wrong with how he's doing it. It's just a different business model.
Right.
Well, it sounds like basically you're just talking about the speed of completing a campaign and the frequency of campains, it's pretty obvious that that's a good thing. I mean, speeding up and doing more is a better thing.
Doing everything, like, I mean, as I said, if you look at if you can't look at the campaigns that I've written over the past, if you look at the books that I have written that have been crowdfunded and produced and everything like that, I have run Elysian Fields, Pyramid Gambit, The Embrace, SPQR, The Embrace 2 obviously is being fulfilled right now. And then I did Judex with Global Frequency. I wrote American Bliss, Father's Pride Part 1 with Dave Brink. I edited Fiendish 2.5, and I'm working with Rini on 3 right now. I've done all of these projects in 5 years. Every single one of them outside of obviously The Embrace 2 and books that are in that's it. Like, it have all been fulfilled and everything like that. Granted, I'm the writer, right? It's a different process for me. And I'm not going to hold that against anybody. But this is where I work with multiple art teams, and I work with people that have different page rates, and I work with budgets and what have you, and it works. But at the end of the day, the thing for me is I need to focus on how to grow. Ethan and people that are on that level, they already have an audience where if only 1% of those people back, they're going to make more than what I can make in a year of having a campaign open.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of lost the point here, because
yes,
getting to that level, right, means just building up your channel, building up the community of your network, right? And so you can get there, and you probably will. But, at the same time, though, Ethan not to just focus on him. Let me just
long head starts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not to just focus on him. Let me just make a point, though. That idea, Comicsgate, the concept of it and the inspiration of it is that like people like Patrick Q over here or Dr. Ben or myself, soon I'm going to launch my book. It's like we're inspired to actually do something, put it out there, and build a channel, build a network. Comicsgate inspired us to do that, and it inspired a lot of people to do that. And I think a lot of people are losing the plot where they're like forgetting that 5 years ago, you know, it started with that, you know, this group of creators, and they're turning their back on them because of petty complaints like, oh, well, you know, you didn't do this or you didn't do X, Y, and Z. But you still got to kind of give credence to Comicsgate because that's why we're all here. And that's why I go back to that example.
I think that 5 years ago, there was this energy that went through. And I think a lot of it also had to do with economic times were much different then, right? Mm-hmm. Like when a lot of this started, pandemic was starting, everybody was getting the monthly stimulus checks and what have you. There was a lot of disposable income to throw around.
You got monthly stimulus checks? I just got one.
What are you
Wait a minute.
Oh, dude.
Same.
Huh?
I didn't get mine until I started back at work.
Oh man, I was so like I worked armed security, so like I was like all like, and I had it like a.
What's up, Crazy Mad?
What's up, buddy?
Welcome to the show. Yeah, we got Michael Ogden, a goddamn legend.
Other comics,
Michael Ogden. When I post tomorrow about happy to have you on the show, I'm gonna make your name Michael.
You're just gonna butcher it to all hell. It's all good.
As bad as I can.
But yeah, like I just it's one of these things where it's like I do think that there was a massive bump. Everybody had extra money to throw around. Everybody, and then there was the excitement because you had people that were, you know, despite having been, you know, thrown out from the mainstream for whatever reason or another, were finding success that wasn't being found in the mainstream at the time due to specific things, right? And so there was a lot of excitement and what have you. But I think that as time has gone on, at the end of the day, we're like, as a society, we tend to want immediate return on investment, right? Like we want to have that instant gratification. Right. And the longer that you go without that, the longer you give people a reason not to come back. And I've even had that. I had people who backed, you know, as I said, I had over 600 signups for the Embrace 2. And fact of the matter is I was initially supposed to launch this book last year. I was put in a position where I couldn't. I lost my job. I had to take care of my folks. I had to do what I had to do. And and B.A. Turner does bring up a lot of good points there as well. There's a lot of splintering factions, and I've talked about this.
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't want to argue with him on stream?
Oh, stop it!
This is a massive thing, and I mentioned this earlier. Is like there will be times where, you know, the way that I generally like to do things is I go very hard and campaign, and I go on tons of shows, or at least I used to, because there was a lot more to go to. I would go and I'd do that, go very heavy, and then once the campaign was done, I would focus on, all right, we got to get the book put together, get it out, and then I would decompress and spend time with like my kid and just focus on that, right? And just then I'd come back, and then all of a sudden, all of the people I used to hang out with now hate each other.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like a strike while the iron's hot game, right? Because there's a small window. There's a very small window of getting your product out. And I get your overall point now, Michael. And just to sum it up, I think what you're saying is that we all need to approach the goal of having a higher frequency product on a mass market level, because that's more sustainable than a higher priced, lower frequency product.
That's how comics got to be what they are. Is correct. You had free. My
rebuttal to that is it's really hard to achieve for us, because you got to remember, here's a factor that you haven't brought up yet. Those original comic companies, they had investors. We
They
are, as
do.
our,
And that's the big thing, is like that is where we have the big disadvantage, because we are grassroots. And so
Yeah,
there
exactly.
is a limit to what we can do. And this is, I'm not sure. You talk about like the 5 years back. So I'm sure that you know about the Brett Weisers and the Walmart deal and everything like that. There was a lot of great potential there. But at the end of the day, the way that deal was negotiated and everything like that, and then on top of that, the workload overloaded what the Brett Weisers could do, and it fell apart. There is no perfect solution to any of this. And at the end of the day, until somebody creates the way that this works, the perfect middle ground, any and all of this shit is speculative. Right?
Well, I mean, we have examples to base it off of, though, because like I just said, those comic companies, they had high investors. We don't have that. So to a degree, our investors is the crowdfunding. Virtually building a following is our investors till we get to a level where we can get to something like
absolutely.
The Bright
But
Wise.
what you can also do is, like, all right, Dark Horse, for instance. Dark Horse and Image are constantly talent searching. And I know I can't remember if this is in Dark Horse's submission terms and agreement, but I know in Images you retain all IP ownership, right? So like, if you crowdfund something and you're able to showcase its success across 2 or 3 books, and you have pretty much the full thing gone, like if you have almost your entire storyline done, now you have the ability to showcase this to a company, gain a distribution deal, because that's effectively what Image does, is they get you into circulation and distribution. And now all of a sudden you get way more to play with, and you also get access to more talent, and you get investors behind you. This is, again, we're talking hypotheticals here. At the end of the day, until someone does all of this stuff in a certain way and can showcase, hey, this is the right way to do things. And realistically, there is no right way to do things, right? Like whatever works for you.
Yeah, I mean, it almost seems like we're arguing a moot point where we already agree on it, because it's not to say that it's that obvious, but if you were to take someone like Kenneth Rocafort, right, and his channel, and he's obviously incredibly talented, like that's undeniable. And let's just say hypothetically, like next month, he gets 500,000 new followers, and then he gets to the point where he can achieve what you just described. Like he gets that distribution deal. Like obviously that's the goal. So in a sense, it's like we still need to do what we're doing, which is networking.
100%. And this
putting
is
our best foot forward.
Saying that's not what you need to do, because that absolutely is.
Yeah.
And to B.A. Turner's thing, I mean, if you're tied to controversial opinions, you're unlikely to get picked up by such companies. Look, man, at the end of the day, Ethan was able to pretty much broker a deal with Dynamite early on in CG, back when it was way more of a hot topic. Like at the end of the day, if you've got something good there, and you've got everything lined up, companies care about one thing, and that is the profit margin, right? Social currency is going down the drain. You're literally seeing companies ditch all of that shit because it's been losing them money for years.
It's almost like the way the music industry changed in the last 10 years, where and Patrick knows about this, where a band needs to build their following as an indie by themselves first,
and that's like,
and then the record label, right? You know what I'm talking about? Where it used to be a record label would get you a following. Now it's like, oh, you get your own following.
And on top of that, record labels now in the industry, it's a whole thing of a lot of bands are trying to help promote. Like a lot of bigger bands are trying to help promote smaller bands, so they don't have to deal with labels, because labels are the worst. Patrick, you're muted, bud.
Record labels are literal poison if you're trying to make money in competition.
They're the worst. I think it was John Mulaney that was talking about the being a dumb and impressionable Motown singer is like, "Oh, you mean you're gonna pay me a whole $25 for all my songs? Where do I sign, Mr. Barry Gordy?"
Right.
Like at the end of the day, they're terrible organizations.
Oh God.
And you know,
Oh, you guys give me flashbacks.
My point is that there are plenty of comic companies that are looking for submissions that don't really care, so long as you aren't an asshole about anything. They don't really care who you hang out with or what you do, so long as you have a good story that they can market and put on a shelf, because that's a distribution. That's what like Diamond wants, is they want volume. Record labels will have yes. I think the Beatles made more money off of their movies than they did off of their music, which tells you everything you know.
Yeah, seriously.
But point is, there is no gold standard of how to do things outside of, you know, you obviously want to network and build.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that, you know, you're starting to see indie creators like Michael Bancroft has his own website now, right? He's no longer relying on the crowdfunding platforms because he's built up an audience, and he can literally just create a hub where they come to him and he promotes. That is a good goal for an indie creator. I think that is absolutely a measure of solid success. And Michael is a brilliant talent. You know, at the end of the day, you know, that's the kind of thing that we should be pushing for, is that yes, crowdfunding is good to make sure that you're able to establish your audience and build, but then you need to figure out a way to self-sustain beyond crowdfunding and create new ways to make sure that you're self-sustainable. Because the other big thing is that these crowdfunding companies, they're taking a big piece of your pie.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were just talking about, I was shadow banned on Indiegogo since day one. You know how much money that they've gotten from me on just this book? They got an 8% of, what was that?
8% is their rate? 8%?
Yes.
Good
yes.
God.
Yeah, it's 6% for the thing, and then 2% for the platform fees. So you lose 8%. But you're sitting here and like a BA.
You gotta come on, brother, come on here. I
gotta say that at the same time, it does depend on what your goals are as an artist, because I think the saying is it's impossible to be a businessman and an artist at the same time, because sometimes it's got to be one or the other. Because
I think that you have
hold on. What I mean is that as an artist, very often it's like, as long as I create my work, like my baby that I want to put out to the world, I'll be content as long as like it's out there and people are seeing it. Like I don't need to create a business that's going to become huge. Whereas if you're just focused on business and you're like, I want to create a new company, you gotta like ditch everything else and be like, let's be smart. Let's conglomerate these people.
No, and I do agree with you to an extent. And we have actually there have actively been people that I have seen where they'll start off doing like serious books, right? And then they switch over to like cheesecake stuff and what have you, so that they can go market on Kickstarter and what have you, and get loads of money, and to just keep doing that because it's a way to do that. Like it's a smart way to do business in this industry. It just is. If that's what you care about, and it's very difficult to find the middle line. At the end of the day, BA, this is why what we have said here is effectively, and this has been the whole point, is you need to build up your network. And then crowdfunding is grassroots. You use this as a way to build up your following, build up your reach, build up your network. So that way it no longer matters. You can tell your people to go where you go, and then they follow.
BA, you've got to come on. This is the match of the century. Okay, you got to come on.
At the end of the day, I don't even think that this is an argument that we're having. I think that we're just kind of talking circles, and it's.
I know, but it's YouTube gold, you see, and I don't have very much YouTube gold after my last stream got taken down. Okay,
Hey,
man.
I'm
that's
very here.
Harvard's fault.
It's an
Katie's got all
ideological
the
debate.
clips. Katie
I-
clips everybody. She's got YouTube Gold. What have I got? I got.
But like BA, you're saying most indies are at the beginning. I'm not disagreeing with that, which is again what grassroots means is you are at the beginning. What I am saying is the goal shouldn't be to stay on crowdfunding. It should be to grow. Use crowdfunding as a stepping stone to build what you need to build until you are self-sustainable and are able to grow past it. So you're not paying the platform fees, so that you have a back catalog of content to fill a storefront page, so that you have the ability to constantly organically grow your followers without having to pay for silly crap to push your shit out, which is ultimately something that as a business you're going to end up having to do. You're going to have to get a marketing budget down. You're going to have to do all of that stuff as you get larger, because it comes to a point where you become so, if you get large enough, you need to be able to continue to grow as well. Like this is how all of that works. Now,
To a degree, Ethan has achieved that. Ethan,
Yes.
EBS. And not to mention him, because by the way, I'm not like, I don't worship EBS, but he has achieved that.
But it's the same thing with Ripa. It's the same thing with any of these guys. If you have over 100,000 freaking people that you're subscribed to, a standard ROI off of one of these websites is like, what is it? I want to say like 0.8% or something like that. If you take that 0.8%, that's still over 1,000 people backing your freaking shit. And that's going to bring in enough money for you to be self-sustainable no matter what. And like that, you're absolutely right. They've achieved that. And they've done that through building up a platform, networking, doing all of that stuff. And so these are all the points that everyone talks about. But like at the end of the day, for those of us who are starting in the indies, it's all about yes, that, and this also goes into it as well. There have been people who have done crowdfunding, whether it's in the creative space, tech, wherever, where they put out a product, everyone backs, and because of the way crowdfunding works, where they give the disclaimer of this is not a pre-order, this is not this is not that, you have these people just take the money and run.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is not like a target at anybody there, but like there are people that have done this. And
that sounds like a great idea.
and
I
it's
think I might do that.
And
Let me just say this, and that is unfortunate.
Hold on, Katie. Hold on, real quick. I just want, because I don't forget it here. Flady a little bit ago at 9:29, so it's been 6 minutes. He said, still doesn't mean the local shops will buy in the books. Wear an all cap shirt or hat to most local shops and watch the look on the owner's face. I actually have like this happened to me when I went to the shop this past Thursday. I went there. I was wearing an all caps comics shirt. It said Comicsgate, or it said Comics Professionals Hate You. I love that shirt. It's got like a
I like that.
with wings on it. It's such a sick shirt. But I go in there. I'm just browsing. I happen to find the you guys can correct me if I'm mistaken. It's not Uncanny X-Men, but it's something, and the X-Men run that Ethan drew. Does anybody know with Phantom X and all that?
idea.
Grant Morrison.
What is it?
With Grant Morrison, the X-Men with Grant Morrison.
Right.
I thought Grant Morrison was Frank Whiteley.
I gotta go get more Coke, but I'm listening.
All right. Yeah. No, it's Grant Morrison who writes it, but I literally put it down on the table, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been looking." The cashier. He looks at my shirt, and then he looks at the comic, and he goes, "Oh, I've been trying to get this myself." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just really excited to see what old Ethan Van Sciver looks like. I want to see how shit it is." So I'm already coming with this joke, right? Like to try to, because I know what environment I'm in. I've been in that comics shop before. Guy didn't laugh at all. He was just like, "Oh, he literally looked in my face and goes, 'Oh,' and then continues to check me out." And it's like, come on, guys. Like,
well, maybe he was a big Ethan fandom. Maybe.
Oh, maybe he was.
Your reverse psychology. It didn't work.
He had blue hair. So I
at the end of the day, like if the industry was that against having all of these guys there, like, I mean, Malin and Shane were just at Baltimore Comic Con,
mm-hmm.
like, and they had a massive booth in the middle of all of this talent. Like
See, this
They
I
were just there.
this I disagree with Crazy Mad. It comes down to this. I should be able to wear whatever I want. Now, I understand that when you say whatever you want, you'll push people away. I get that. But if I'm wearing a shirt of a comic company by a different person, it doesn't say anything offensive on the shirt. It doesn't say anything like that. Like at that point, I don't know about, and well, I wanted your opinion on this. I feel like if you don't want to buy my book because I'm wearing a shirt from somebody you disagree with politically, it's like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I mean?
Ultimately, to me, I am not going at the end of the day. I don't even know what 3/4 of this shit is most of the time. Like it's one of these things where it's like, I know enough about certain things to like make sure that I know what landmines to avoid, but like that's like the bare basics of it. I think that but like at the end of the day, whether you agree right or wrong on it, like from a moralistic standpoint, I think that it doesn't really matter. If you have a book that has a good premise and is good quality, this, that, the other, then it shouldn't matter because that's what people are there to be entertained, right? But at the end of the day, there is an unfortunate thing where because of how, and it's not just it's not just in this space, it's everywhere. Perception is reality, and how people perceive things is, well, I have been told by X, Y, and Z that this guy is a bad guy, ergo I don't want to support his stuff. And if you're wearing that stuff, consumers will see it as guilty by association. It's not something that I necessarily agree with, but it is something that happens a lot. So what
about wearing a MAGA hat though?
I mean, it's like the same thing. You will have people that won't buy stuff because they're Trump supporters, and there's the other way around.
And that's my point. Whereas perception doesn't have to be reality, because people perceive the MAGA hat as being you're a bigot, you're evil, and all this, right? Whereas they need to be shown. People need to stand up for what they believe in.
But that again, Carter, would be our responsibility. It'd be our.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Yeah. You need to stand up for what you believe in and say, "Hey, your perception of this has been skewed," and that's why
I don't disagree at all, but it still will affect. Like it still will affect your bottom line. Is the thing.
Of course,
and that's I think what Crazy Mad was trying to say. Although I do know Crazy Mad is definitely not the biggest fan of EVS. Well,
I was making the analogy of CG and MAGA because to a degree it's comparable, because you mentioned the Baltimore Comic-Con. They were able to go there, but you got to still remember they were able to be canceled from the Chicago show. All it takes is a phone call. All it takes is an email from a few people going, "Hey, these guys are anti XYZ." And therefore
100%. And that also comes down to specific individuals, right? You're talking about a specific individual making a phone call about shit and whether or not it was valid, this, that, the other. Like, I don't know. Like, I know what you're talking about because I remember seeing stuff. But like, again, I got in this to make books. So I do not pay attention to all the drama shit. I hear about most of it through secondhand crap, and I just go, okay, well that's dumb, and then I go back to writing a script, or approving pages for a layout, or this or that. I have more important shit to do with my time. Like it's just like at the end of the day, I didn't get into this to get invested in all of that crap. I got into this because I love telling stories. And
to take it back to your book and everything, kind of let's take a step back again and remember why we're here. Your book looks great, the embrace and everything. And we bring all people on here to
what a great segue.
What a great segue. Yes.
God damn, Carbon. Thank
you. It's that new mic.
Guilty.
It's that new mic. That's right. Can you imagine how good his segues are going to be when he gets his camera finally?
Well, it's funny. I was going to do a face reveal before, but then my power went out.
Uh-huh.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
I feel cheated. Like this is gonna be like a big thing for my show,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden, it's
I
just
told Michael Ogden that you would be face revealing tonight, Carbon, and here we are. You're just an avatar.
so disappointing. It's
Halloween.
okay.
Do you want me to?
Halloween.
Here, I'll show you.
Carbon, you should if you're gonna do it Halloween, what you should do is wear the mask that you said you've been gonna wear, and at the very end of the show, like start to take the mask off.
Lift it up. Yeah, that's a great
I'm
idea.
pumped. So
well, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. We this is quite a show here. We've got another special guest here, and this wasn't due to my devious machinations at all. Like I don't do that kind of thing.
Oh.
But let's introduce Mr. B.A. Turner. Welcome, Mr. B.A. How you
What's up,
doing?
man?
Hey.
B.A. As the folks know, has actually been labeled. He's now an official Comicsgate Commando, so he has the right to come on the show anytime he wants. And here he is. So,
What's up?
How's it going, guys?
Now you guys need to fight for the internet's approval.
I'm not going to fight
I'm
BA.
just kidding. I'm kidding.
Hey.
I'm just joking. I thought it'd be fun to have him on because he was talking in the chat, and I figured like we might as well just have him.
Oh no,
speak
like
instead of
100%.
chat.
And the funny thing is that I think that like BA and I were kind of just talking around each other, but like ultimately the point stands is like when you are at the beginning of crowdfund, like at the beginning as an indie creator, you need crowdfunding because it is the source in which you build a network, right? Like it is how you test your product, which is your book, and then it is how you like that allows you access to market, and then you build a base and everything like that, and it's building blocks, right? The ultimate goal of which should be to grow beyond crowdfunding so that you have multiple titles under your belt. Like Dave Brink has done an exceptional job with this. And I do hope that there comes a point where Dave Brink doesn't need to use the crowdfunding sites anymore or has something else set up. Because Dave, the Genuine Comics universe, absolutely fantastic. You got Perfect 10, you got American Bliss, Sleeper Cell, Dream Girl, Super 8, like freaking the Power Trip books. Like he's constantly doing more stuff and is expanding the stories that he's doing. And there's going to come a time where, he's going to be able to sell catalogs of that stuff, trade papers, everything like that, and be able to reach a larger audience. And he's international, which gives him access to whole other markets because, he doesn't have the foreign tariffs that we do to ship things to the countries over in Europe, and he's got distribution set up in the States. So that's whole other things. Yes, exactly. That's the whole thing is I don't think that it's unrealistic, but it requires smart planning, and it needs, and that's the whole thing is it's like, I don't think that what BA is saying is wrong at all. Indie creators, especially at our level, right? We need crowdfunding because that's how we market. That's how we get our books out there, and we create the experience to create a boutique, high-end book, right? Like that's the goal.
But just to respond, Michael, here's something that's very ironic. We've enjoyed the luxury of Comicsgate building up a community of people, but the main thing that we've become unified over is reactionary to what's happened to the mainstream, right?
Yes.
Because in essence, we want to be neutral when it comes to politics, right, in our books. And so the entire inception of this movement is essentially anti-woke. You have to admit, it's pretty much anti-woke, anti-mainstream. But then now we want to distance ourselves from the CG label because we know that label is tainted and that we won't be able to get into the mainstream if we use that label. So it's almost like the thing that brought us together is the thing that we want to turn our backs on in order to become bigger.
My plan.
It's sad.
I think it's a very interesting point, and I think that to a degree, like there's absolutely a level of truth to that. But I think that it's also a whole thing of that label has changed, and there's been so much fractures and infighting over, like as BA mentioned, there's been so many fractures and infighting where it's like, what does this even mean anymore?
Comicsgate is the only place where you can discuss all this and figure it out without, you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to strangle B.A. Turner. Every time I see him on a screen, I want to just, his opinion means dog shit to me. You know what I'm saying? Like his gargoyle comic, gothic horror. What do you think you're doing, dude? Like,
Oh my god.
but in Comicsgate, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can all have different opinions. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
That's such a great point. That's a great point, Ben. Because that discourse is not even possible as we see.
Which point, Carbon? The one where he says that this is the only place where we can have these conversations, or the one where he wants to murder B.A. Turner constantly?
Choking BA is the point that I agree with.
Ultimately, I mean, that is.
People hate good books. It's true. And they love shitty
yeah.
books recently. But no, I mean, one thing I'd say is, you know, doing what Dave is doing is it doesn't take much, essentially, right? Like I could go find a printer in Europe and distribute out of Europe, right? It just takes legwork, right?
Yeah.
Finding Critical Blast to do that domestically or using them for overseas. It's not overly complicated. The trick is teaching people that stuff, right?
Well, I would 100% agree with you, because most of these things have simple solutions, but you would be surprised at how difficult it is to find somebody that has the answer to the simple solution, or or knows the path to it. Like we talk about Critical Blast, and he provides an outstanding resource. But just think,
shout out to him.
2 years ago, that didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But most of us don't need that, really, right?
I mean,
at least domestically.
We don't. But
Don't say that about
oh boy, was life much more difficult when we didn't have it.
What about Johnny Scab? He wants to distribute his comic books over here, or Commie Mark. He wants to
for overseas people, it makes sense completely.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to do it. But for folks that are already domestic,
I mean, we
like
had
like
when
myself,
I first started,
it doesn't make any sense to pay someone
would not
to
ship
do manual
international.
labor.
People would not ship international when I first started. When I first came on the scene, I had international shipping available on my book, and people looked at me like I was fucking crazy.
How much do you charge for international shipping?
Yeah.
At the time, it was, what was it? I had $8 for domestic, and then I had $12 for international.
Oh my god! I know how much.
You want to know what's the crazy part?
To ship something to somebody across the pond, and it is.
You know what's the craziest part?
God damn!
I didn't lose money. I made money on that book.
Now you're just flexing.
Elysian Fields issue 0. I turned a $3,000 profit on.
Wow!
I was able to invest all of that into the stock book.
You've been chartering some military planes, some army planes to fly your books over there.
I mean, what it ultimately came down to is we didn't have that many freaking international backers. So what ended up happening is that I had charged enough on the domestic shipping where, like, at that time, domestic shipping was pretty low for like a single comic book. And so I was able to, the money that, like, because, you know, if you ship something local, it's not going to be the same. And I also, for anybody that lived under like 2 hours from me, I hand delivered those books personally. Right.
Oh,
so like,
that's cool.
Like, yeah, like it,
I don't know. If you walked up to my door and knocked on it, I would be like, "Who's there?"
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I actually met Robert Romano. He lives like 45 minutes away from me, and I showed up at his house, and he was just like, "Who are you?" He was like, "Oh, my name's Michael Oden. You backed my book Elysian Fields," and he goes, "Yeah, come in." And like, he was like, "I wasn't expecting this book for months," and I was just like, "Yeah, no, it's done. Here's your holofoil copy. You want me to sign it?" And like, I did all of that, and so that was, you know, that was my first book. And so I wanted to make sure I did that for people that I could. And so I saved money there, but then I also was able to, from the difference of people that were like, 2-3 states away from me, same coast, versus people who are shipping across the country from, like I was able to save enough money there where I think we had like 30 international backers in total, if that. And I was able to save enough money to put that towards that. I didn't lose anything on shipping.
So I mean, that's the thing, though. You could use Critical Blast or someone in Europe just
but
for international, but
Critical
for the
Blast didn't
domestic
exist
stuff.
when I started.
Right,
And
but that's kind of proof to my point, right? You didn't need Critical Blast for domestic shipping.
No, I didn't. But I also got in at a completely different time. It was a lightning in the bottle moment. You had people that had more money to throw around, and now it's one of these things of where can we save money, and especially on shipping, because it's a dark horse. Embrace One is my highest grossing campaign that I have done. I lost money because at the end of the day, all of my shipping rates were prorated before before the massive shipping halt happened, and all of a sudden, all of the shipping rates skyrocketed. We had when I first,
but a distributor wouldn't have been able to counter that, right? The shipping rates are the shipping rates domestically for the most part, especially if it's U.S. Postal Service. Like nobody gets a discount for the most part, unless you have a business account that's small. But
I mean, at the end of the day, point is that if I had Critical Blast when I started that, maybe the internet, like with how he handles the international stuff, I wouldn't have had to send individual packages out to Australia, which we had several backers. We had dozens.
We're not disagreeing on the international
the US.
Yeah, we're on the same.
I love the hand delivering. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to hand deliver all across the country, though. Actually, I'm going to fly around.
Hand deliver.
Carbon, how would you feel if next time I sold you a book, rolled up at your door and just knocked on it? How would you feel about that?
It's one of those things where you would think they'd be more like people would be more apprehensive about it, and like I was initially like super skittish. I was like, man, is this really the right call? But like the moment I knocked on the door and people saw, I was like, who are you? And then I'd explain, they'd be like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like, and I had people like take selfies with me. I had people ask me to sign, like it's one of those things where, it creates an additional experience. Right. Yeah. And that's, that makes it that much more special. And at the end of the day, that's what that's the thing that I do really like about crowdfunding is when you're doing a crowdfunded book, it is all about making it an experience for your backers, right? Mm-hmm. It's about how can I make this the most high-end thing that I can for them? Like, before it was, what kind of fun little tchotchkes can I get thrown in here for like stretch goals and things. Now, you're seeing people try and find alternatives. I'm using, instead of doing tchotchkes, I'm focusing on, okay, we'll do cover upgrades. Right, which is hardly new. Like you had people that were doing that before, or unlocking new covers, or this or that as stretch goals. But like, I think that at this point, dude, I've got like 3 shelves filled with freaking like magnets, trading cards, standees, all that stuff. We can calm down on the tchotchkes now. Let's figure out other ways to make fucking crazy, man. Let's figure out new ways to make this exciting for our backers, because that's the fun part about this, right? Is like making it an experience for the people that we're working for, right? Dude, I'd absolutely have a fucking beer with you, Crazy.
It ain't have me because he doesn't like me.
Crazy was talking to me. I'm pretty sure he's talking to me, Michael. But
like that's the whole thing. Is like that's.
I think he was talking about Katie. Actually, I think he wants to have a beer with Katie.
Actually, let's be honest with ourselves.
Katie, how do you describe yourself? Would you describe yourself as a commentator or as a creator? I mean, if you're a commentator, you're a creator. But like, are you like a reviewer? Like, I'm curious, like, because I love, like, I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I love like your show, like your contribution, like the way you're like, what I'm saying? Like you are like a news show, So that's what I'm saying. Like, how do you describe yourself, or how do you think yourself?
The
Because
way you say it sounds like you don't love her. You're like, so what exactly are you, Katie?
what exactly do you do around here? How would you?
Yeah, what do you do around here?
She snips and clips, literally,
It's
and
pretty obvious.
mine.
Oh, you heard the clip they had from the Knuckleheads. They're like, well, he said Commandos, so I know he's good with Katie, and that's all I need to know. That he's, and they're crying.
They got so
Well,
mad.
I would say
got
I'm a
so mad.
detractor and a backer, a promoter. It's someone that's going to be reviewing more comics soon.
Oh, you got to make a song out of this. I'm a detractor. I'm a backer. Something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's right.
She does have a lovely singing voice.
Do you, Katie?
No, I don't. That's bullshit.
You know that we
You can't
love
sing?
you. No, you have to know this. You were just
Because
like,
Katie, if you can sing, like Johnny and I
yeah.
have the Comicsgate album coming out. So we're gonna have it. We gotta have it
Patrick,
on it.
we're gonna have to talk about this kind of like off the camera, because there is like that is the whole, like, the fellow that I kind of am gonna associate with. He's a music producer, like, with legitimate.
Oh, I don't want to
we can't.
anybody's dick
I got
for my album to come out, dog.
There is an NDA. There is an
yeah.
NDA.
I don't do
so,
those. I don't do NDAs. I do. You can speak
Comicsgate,
what you want when you want. That kind
the
of thing.
album. No, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you will shit your pants.
I mean, I've already
Literally,
done
you will
that
shit your
today.
pants if I tell you, like, I will
I
tell
believe
you.
you, Ben. I
Wait,
believe you.
Man,
we
like,
got Comicsgate here. He says, so I have a
Fucking-
question. $25 for a floppy. Too expensive?
yeah,
Oh,
it
no.
is.
Thank you.
It
Thank
is.
you so much.
I don't know if I should answer a question from someone who unfollowed me.
Oh, what?
Ooh.
Comics. They
The drama
But I will.
thickens.
And I'll keep referring you to other people too, by the
I
way.
absolutely believe that $25 for a floppy is too expensive, and is to make sure that there is a 100% definition on this. A floppy is defined as a book, as a comic that is staple bound between 20 and 32 pages of story. So
You can
to
staple
me,
bind a 48-page comic though too.
yes, but
Wow.
that's the point. Is that it is important to note that the binding makes it less expensive because it's not perfect bound. So it is one staple bound, 20 to 32 pages of story, which most people can read in under 20 minutes.
But it can be longer.
$25 is too expensive for a floppy.
Well, what if it is a 48-page comic, for example?
That's not a floppy. That's called an oversized.
But it's staple bound.
Doesn't matter.
Staple
Oh,
Well, he
bound.
said up to 32 pages. So
It says
I mean,
up to 32 pages, 20
Yeah.
pages to 32 pages, staple bound. That is the
That
definition.
might be
of
the definition, but printers can do a 48-page.
No, I understand that. I am
comic.
stating that
Which is
what
cheaper
the
than perfect
industry
bound.
design-
But
what
that
the
means another
industry
12
defines
pages of
as a
art that you have
floppy.
to pay for, and 12 more pages of printable material.
Stop. Hold on. We are the defined term of a floppy is 20 to 32 pages. This is the industry definition of what a floppy is. And I do not care. Like,
But
look,
it's
man,
20
most people at our level are paying $250 per page. At the end of the day, and I said this earlier on the stream, nobody asked us to make fucking books. This is a business decision that we made. It is a risk we make. We eat that loss. If that's what it comes down to, that's what it comes down to. You're here to get your book out to people and hopefully, yes, retake that. But you are not here to make gangbusters. You are here to get your book out.
You're not here to
So
lose money.
that is
though,
a decision
either,
that
so-
you made to make a book.
Right, but
25
crowdfunding
pages.
is essentially investing in a creator to help them bring it to life.
No, it's not.
shopping.
It is crowdfunding is you are going to people and saying, "Hey, I have this book."
Well, no, you have an idea. You don't have a finished book in many cases.
because most people, you have to have, if you are crowdfunding, you need to have invested at least a portion of your own money into a project. Because if you do not have anything to show, you are not going to get any. If you haven't invested anything in it, why the hell should they? So,
but
so here's the
typically
deal.
Well, Michael, that's not
product, though.
strictly
As-
true.
as you
because-
Maybe
go
4 or 5
Hey,
pages. but
You don't
that's-
necessarily-
Let's be careful not to
a
interrupt
small percent.
anybody. Let's just so that we don't have multiple people talking over one another. Just let the other person talk. You know, you'll get
Okay.
your chance to speak. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I think Carbon was
Carbon, what were you saying, bud?
Go ahead, Carbon.
Yeah, I didn't mean to talk over anyone. I was responding to what you said, Michael, about for a crowd fund, the investment to start it. It's not technically true though in terms of an investment, because you could do it. You could start a crowd fund, show the idea of the product and images of what it's going to look like. The value of how much you've invested is not a guarantee. It's not like I need to put $1,000 into what I first put in. Yeah, I could just show you a few images and be like, here's the pitch, here's the images, and this is what's going to do.
You can, but it doesn't work like it. All right, so let's bring up some examples from the past. Did you ever hear of Gun Demon by Greg Levitra?
No.
Okay. Well, Gun Demon by Greg Levitra had 2 pages of interior art and a bunch of turnarounds on his campaign, and that's all he had invested in. That's all he had used to market his book for 4 years. Didn't fund. Didn't do what he wanted it to do. Pillars of Creation by Alejandro. He had, I think, 5 or 8 pages maybe done for the thing and a cover or 2. And he had a funding goal of, what was it, 10 grand? And he straight up said that he believed that he had invested enough in it, and he felt that everybody else should invest in it in order to get him to where he needed to be. At the end of the day, what it comes down to is people like to see that you've put your money where your mouth is. One of the big reasons why I was successful right off the gate was I told people that I had already paid for everything by the time I was crowdfunding. I had budgeted it out for about 2 or 3 months. I had, like, the art was in production, and that it didn't matter if we met our goal or not, people were going to get the book.
I believe it helps. Obviously, it helps. The more you give up front is obviously going to help. I was just defending the concept that for a crowd fund, you could pitch the idea and the concept. And just some
another
basic
one of my
images.
trolls. Welcome.
God damn.
Oh man!
Savage. As a customer, I won't buy a book unless the creator disingenuously compares themselves to Alan Moore.
And no one here
Snuggie.
has done that. So
God
I
damn.
guess
But,
Yeah,
but
disingenuously, no.
my point though is that at
But
the
see,
end of the day,
I like that Dean
Nope.
clarified though that, like, it's about, and this is where I was gonna head to, was, during Katie's stream, the focus was $25 for a comic, right? Because yours isn't a floppy.
I said floppy
right?
like pretty much every time, and I said 20 to 32. I think in that one I said 20 to 36. But like,
what should a 48-page staple bound book?
48
charge?
pages and oversized. When I did the Embrace
what's a
one,
fair
it was
price?
40. It was 48 pages, right? Like from cover to cover was 48 pages. I think I had that at 20.
Okay, but would 25 be overpriced for an oversized?
No, not necessarily.
48-page book?
Like especially if you had like a special cover finish, or if they were getting tchotchkes as extras and stuff like that. I don't have a problem with that. My thing is specifically 20 to 32 pages, staple bound. That is something that I could pick up and read in 5 to 10 minutes. That
But
shouldn't be
regardless of the artists involved and the quality of the cover.
Yeah, I mean,
anything
dude,
in it?
At the end
Your
of the
book
day,
versus
look,
let's say a Dale Keown 36-page premium book
if you're
would be the same price as what you charge.
if you're able to afford a Dale Keown 36-page book, like that's a whole other story, right?
It's
Like
about the
because
backers.
at the end of the day, that you're talking about a level in the industry that we aren't at. And if somebody tried to go and do that, I would say that and this is something, why am I blanking on names now? Carbon brought up earlier, you need to know your budget and you need to manage your budget. At the end of the day, I am not going to try and approach Dale Keown to go do a 36-page book. I don't have that money.
Sure, but my point is where I'm leading at.
Like at the end of the day,
a huge range of
this
page
is where
rates.
you have to. There has to be a level of responsibility on the creator, because nobody asked you to do this. You are doing this on your own, which means you need to budget for it properly. And so if you're going there and you're spending over $250 a page, and for your art.
Hold on,
I'd be the devil's advocate here. I'd like to be the devil's advocate here because we've got a lot of people who are pro Michael Ogden here saying, I don't care about the name. 36 pages isn't worth $25. I'm not paying $25 for a Keown floppy. And we all know how good, Dale Keown is. What I would like to be the devil's advocate. I would like to say, I'm not calling BA the devil here, but it's kind of what it sounds like.
Those gargoyles, look at them.
Yeah. I would like to be a literal Satanist worshippers advocate here. No, I'm just kidding. And say that, like, I wouldn't buy a 24-page Dale Keown book for $25, but if it was Dale Keown with a writing, like somebody writing it that I either liked or like, an artist, like a writer that I appreciated, then I would probably pay $25.
100.
And this, let me finish.
Hold on, let Patrick finish, please. Everybody, please take one at a time.
It's not just. It's not, and this is the beauty of comic books in general. It's not just the artist that makes me buy a book. It's the artist and the concept and the writer. So I might not like your writer, or I might not know who your writer is, but if the concept's cool and the art's good, then I'll buy your book. At the same time, if your concept and your writing is good, but the art's not so great, I'll buy your book. So it's two of those three things. But at the same time, like, I will pay $25 for a book, like I would for Dale Keown, and by himself. It was Dale Keown writing the book. No, I wouldn't pay $25 because it's probably not very good writing wise, because Dale Keown doesn't know how to write. But if you have a good writer with it, or at least rather a semi-decent writer, somebody that I know can at least put a story out on the page in 24 pages and tell a whole story, then I'll pay $25 for it. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
And that's my point, is that it's subjective, right? And it's up to the backers. And I don't think it's fair to paint a standard cost across the board, because not every comic is created equally. Whether it's page count, whether it's writer, whether it's line artist, whether it's colorist, right? And yes, of course, I used an extreme case, because there are extreme cases of extremely high quality books that are going to be premium, and then there's extremely low quality books as well. Mm-hmm. If it's something that's filled with 3D assets and other things, yeah, they probably shouldn't be charging $25 and they should be called out. That's fair. But if it's someone on the level of Dale Keown, yeah, you're going to have thousands of people that are going to buy it because of his name, because of his quality. And then there's everything in the middle. And that is even a pretty wide range. You have people paying $100 for a page rate, and then you have people paying even $400 or $500 for a page rate for folks that may not be ex-pros, right? But are really, really good and really, really unique. So again, the backers are going to decide, and it's subjective to say whether or not that's a fair price or not, because every book is not created equally.
That's a good point. Let's switch over.
And then you have, again, the variable of, maybe some are, again, longer in page count, still staple bound. There's so many different variables that go into the pricing of a comic.
So let's let Michael. Okay, go ahead.
All right.
You had your hand up, like.
I'm trying to make sure that, because if I don't do this, I'm just going to end up talking over people.
Okay.
All right.
You're good. You're good.
So here's the deal. All right. To your point, Patrick, I understand what you were saying, where it's like, okay, but if I like everybody on the team and it's something that I'm excited about, I would absolutely be willing to pay.
Hold on, pause. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I just said about interrupting people, so I'm sorry. But Crazy Matt, you would not pay $25 for 32 pages of Silvestri or Frazetta? Come on, dude.
I mean,
we're dealing with artists who are very good, but they're not quite at the level of Frazetta or Silvestri.
We'll come back to
Being
that.
brutally honest with one another, I personally don't feel that way. I would pay $25 for 32 pages of black and white, no dialogue, Frazetta or Silvestri.
Well, and that would obviously be like
Instantly.
also a collector item as well. Like
Well,
this
yeah.
is
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is where like that's a whole
Okay,
other
but
thing.
go ahead and make your point,
right?
Michael. I'm sorry.
But like
Okay.
this is where like there's a difference between the consumer being willing to pay something does not mean that it's right to charge something. And this is where, like, BA, I understand what you're saying, where, like, at the end of the day, all of us are, yes, we've taken the risk. It would be nice if we would be able to make back our overheads. And so you tried to
Everyone should be trying to do that.
I mean, yes, everybody should be trying to do it. Everyone should be hoping to do it. It's not a guarantee, and that's a risk that you took when you did it, right? And that's ultimately the fact of the matter, is that this is a risk you took by doing it, and whether you're able to do it or not is completely up to your ability to sell the book. Now, I understand what you are saying where, people are paying for page rates. And this is where, look, man, if you are at a specific threshold, we've been talking about building up your network, building up your market and everything like that. You paying for a page rate means that you need to think about what you are paying for, not just in terms of quality, but in terms of reach, right? So, if you're paying $500 a page, why are you paying $500 a page? Is the art really that good, or are they offering something else? Because if they have a following that you can then market to and get that, that makes sense. But if you're just paying $500 a page because, I really like this guy's art, dude, you're not being fair to yourself. That's where you are. This is where it's a comic book creator's responsibility to themselves to stick true to a budget that is realistic for what they can accomplish. Yes, every single one of us wants to be able to make our books and do it the way that we want to. But at the end of the day, there are times where we got to say freaking no. I was at Baltimore Comic-Con 2-3 weeks ago. Ryan Otley was there. Ryan Otley is one of my favorite artists of all freaking time. You bet your ass I wanted to get in that line and beg that man for an Embrace cover. I'm not going to do that. I don't have the funds to do that, because that man's going to quote me $3 to $4K at minimum for a cover. I don't have the means to do that. And even if I did, I don't know if it would pay off. I really don't. Especially in this economy. Why the fuck would I make that decision? And at the end of the day, that is a responsibility that is borne by the creator, not the audience, not the market. This is a free market economy. Nobody asked you to do a damn thing. You made a choice.
It's free market, which that again goes into.
But like at the end of the day,
up to everyone's judgment of what they should charge.
So Michael, you had a good 3 minutes. Let's let BA respond here.
Okay.
We need that bell thing that Tucci's got.
Yeah, right. Ding.
Okay. BA, okay, get in there. Look for the
Before you start,
All right,
BA,
you got it, fella. Go on there. What you got?
Sleeping Psychopathy is asking somebody to drop the campaign link. I agree. Somebody should drop the campaign link in the chat.
Like, this is, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but let's
definitely your comic does look like fantastic. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that is the thing, is like you've put together. If you can you bring it back up, Patrick?
I sure can, but I would prefer that BA be able to rebuttal first.
Well, I'd like BA to be able to rebuttal against Oden with the backdrop of his comic, so that way BA can be like, okay, this is what I'm going against. This guy here, look at this.
All right, well then, BA, I'm going to put you on your heels here.
Yeah, I mean, not to put you on the spot, BA, but this is, we are
comic book, so
yeah. I've got people online
I have faith in you, though.
fighting us. I sent you DMs, Patrick. Of these people,
Yeah,
they're
Dr. Ben.
They're
I want to
saying
hear from Dr. Ben.
and
I want to
they're
hear what he
saying
has to say.
women, and we got Katie did right here. Do we hate you, Katie? I mean, like, if we do, by all
I
means,
don't
like,
think so.
that's what I'm saying. Like, you have your there's lots of like girls and stuff in Comicsgate. Like, am I wrong in saying that? Like,
like
10.
5 to 10% of people in Comicsgate, maybe.
that's a
If this would help you understand my YouTube analytics, I only have 3% of women watching me.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's
So there you go.
tiny. It's
You
tiny.
need to really get into the whole lesbian thing, Katie, because then you get a lot more women to watch.
compare our analytics, Katie, because
It's a very good idea, Patrick.
I got like
I'm just
10%
saying.
women watching me.
What's Patrick's idea? I'm sorry.
My
What was
idea is
your
for
idea?
you to engage in the lesbian market and get more women
God.
on the show.
Oh,
Oh,
Jesus.
Lord.
That's not
I'm
what
just trying
Hey.
to be diverse.
Oh my God.
God, you try to
That's
be.
not offensive at all. I've met
You're,
many lesbians who like comics, actually.
you're an orthodox extremist.
Well, I don't. Yeah, we
people
don't.
hate you, and then you try to be diverse, and people hate you, and it's like, what are you supposed to do?
You can't single
Still
them out.
I
orthodoxy.
hear you. I will keep
Well-
that in mind.
Orthodox in the adjectival sense, BA.
I
We
meant
did
my
have-
I'm
religion.
one of those dirty idol worshipping papists. So
Yeah, we
Go
did
ahead,
have the
Pete.
clash over Catholicism the other day. I mean, you know.
let's not get into that. We're not going to talk about that this stream. I know.
Well, how about go ahead, BA, because I do want to hear your thoughts and your
Yeah.
rebuttal.
BA, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that a lot of that really didn't have much to do with page count, in my opinion. Right, that was more about just being responsible in starting a business and just learning the basics of budgeting. Right, which a lot of creators are not going to know going into it. That's why we need more people trying to help people learn from their experiences. But in regards to page count, and the thing is, page rate and all that. I'm not saying people should charge 25. I didn't charge anywhere near that for pretty much any of my products. What I'm saying is it's up to the market on whether or not that's a fair price. It's up to the backers. And it's highly variable on page count, quality of art, and all the names attached to it, etc. Also has to do with, I've received books that, I mean, the paper was like newspaper quality. The cover stock wasn't even card stock. I mean, it was
Wait,
low quality.
So
Yeah, no,
Versus
that's
when you
understandable.
you receive
That's
an
the question I
EBS
wanna
book
ask
or
you
something.
guys.
The difference on that on like a digital print run is like negligible, so it's like that's a whole other thing, and I'm not gonna yeah.
let me ask everybody in the chat here, though, and we'll go down the line here. So Michael's the first one underneath me. So Michael, when you receive a comic book from a backer, like an independent, let's say an independent person that you backed, when you get the comic book, do you think about the quality of the paper involved?
It honestly depends. Because there are certain things, Alterna Press, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Their
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
thing is they market as, hey, we do everything on newsprint and everything like that, and their prices reflect that,
Okay.
right? Like that is something that goes into it. Now, most of the time, if I back an indie project, I'm not going to be getting newsprint or what have you. So if I back something and I paid, let's say $25, maybe even $30 for it, right?
Yep.
And I get it, and it doesn't have because at the end of the day, we just talked about the whole point of indie is we're making a high-end product, right?
Sure.
We have, and that's part of the reason why we have to charge upscale. And this is where, even when I was on Katie did stream, I was like, we absolutely have to have an upcharge of what you would normally see in there. We have to cover our overhead, but we're also offering a higher end product at the end of the day. Cardstock covers, stuff like that. So if I paid a sizable amount for something and I get it and it's not up to par, like the paper quality is bad, the cover quality is bad, all of that stuff, then I'm going to be ticked.
So off of your example, then alternate comics. I assume you've gotten comics.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple books.
So the question is, so have I. The question is, was the amount that you paid for an alternate comic worth the quality of the paper that you received? Story and art aside.
Yeah, especially because the one that I backed was Hammerella by Marvin Wynn, and I got like a massive bundle for like I think it was $30.
Yeah,
and it came with like 12 books.
Okay, fair enough. And you were satisfied with spending $30 on 12 books, and you read I assume you read all the books.
Yeah, they're all really good.
Like
Marvin Wynn crushed it.
Okay, all right. So Dr. Ben.
Hello.
Hi. So Dr. Ben.
So
What? God damn it! Stop acting like a cool guy.
I have questions from people that were watching.
Yeah.
I shared the link to the show, and they asked what horse shit is this. I sent you the picture so you can verify it. I don't want to like dox the people with their names, but you can be a secondary witness just to verify that I am accurately stating there.
Read off the comments, Dr. Ben, because I saw the screenshot. Read it off.
He said, "What horse shit is this?" I shared a link to our show.
Uh-huh.
And I said, one of the shows I'm a part of, we highlight independent comic creators, crowd funds, talks, news, and comics things. Always a fun time. One fella said, "Shit. Crowdfunded. Shit." And that is what he said. That was the Cran fella.
I think it was joking.
He was, and he shared a link to a comic that he is crowdfunding.
Oh my God! Look,
he's okay. That guy's okay. The next guy said, one that shows you're a far right wing, woman hating, bigoted, nut, butthurt about comics having a social conscious lynch.
We haven't said a goddamn thing about politics or women or anything this whole show.
No, we got a woman on here, so that's what I say. We do.
One of those things.
You have her at the bottom.
These people.
Why do you have her at the bottom?
It's because she doesn't have a.
She has to be at the top.
Not on camera.
She's not on camera.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah,
you got to put her
now she's on the very, very bottom because first of all, I can't put her above Carbon Heart. Carbon Heart's a colonel. She's only a private in the Comicsgate.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare do that.
But I'm a woman, so we go on the bottom. So
look, nothing to do with you being a woman. It's
I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, I know, but these heathens on Twitter and such, they think that we hate women. It's not about women. It's about meritocracy. I know you guys understand that because you're fucking communists. And I know about communists, okay? I've studied Russian history. I know all about communists. So you guys don't understand. We give the power to the people that, goddamn. Oh, fuck. I just looked over the private chat and there's like paragraphs. I'll read that in a second. I'm on a rant. I'm on a rant right now. The Comicsgate Commandos are all about meritocracy. They're not about communism, okay? I know that I wear I'm wearing all Russian special gear. I understand
we're not.
that. I like
we or they are not communists anymore. Come on.
No,
you know this.
No. And I was just about to say that Russia, which I said Russia is not communist anymore. It's not the Soviet Union anymore. You guys are all you got to get out of the propaganda. Okay, you got to.
Patrick, let's get back on the topic.
You're right. I'm sorry. All right. Carbon's right and I'm wrong. And thank God for
in Minecraft.
So anyway, the point is that now it's
we were going down the list. You were gonna get everyone's opinion.
You're right.
We're up to Dr. Ben.
Turner. Dr. Ben distracted me. He could have brought up Israel too. He could have done that, but he didn't.
I didn't even. And I did have a thing today with. Are you
look, hey, I'm taking over now. I was next.
30 seconds.
I was under Ben. I was under Ben.
No,
30 seconds. Time me, Carbon. 30 seconds.
No, it's Carbon's turn. You wasted your turn on drama. Now it's
Carbon. Please, 30 seconds.
Go ahead,
I brought you on the show. Just give me 30 seconds.
10 seconds.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Let me put him up. Oh, whoops. That's not. Here we are. You better not waste it again on trying to start drama.
I already started it. It's with Durf, the guy that did my friend Dahmer. I
9,
congratulated him for
8.
defending Israel. Him and Alex DeCampi, one of the people that the Ed Piskor claimed that murdered him.
3.
I congratulated them for defending Israel to stop that Jewish lady from exhibiting. Or no, they did. They helped her to exhibit in Vancouver.
1. All right, that was your time. See, it's getting me. Sorry. Carbon's gone. You see what you've done here? You pissed Carbon off so much. No, they're both gone. Oh my God. CG's an oligarchy now, bitches. Every show is an oligarchy. Guys, this reminds me of when I was a child, and I said to and by a child, I mean 14 years old, and I said to my parents, your house is like fascist Germany. And my dad was like, well, yeah, because I'm the dictator of my home. Like I control everything that happens in my home. And if it doesn't go the way I want to, then I'll do things that make it not that way. And I was like, that's evil. And he was like, no, I'm a father in my home and I'm the patriarch of my family. And then I realized much later that he was right. He kicks all of us. I didn't kick you guys. Wait, did I? Here they are.
Probably by accident.
What happened? I didn't kick you.
We're doing it.
I would never.
Yeah, that's it.
Katie,
that's
get to the bottom. Get to the bottom, Katie.
Okay.
So getting back on the topic, because we're having some back room. The debate is continuing in the back room here. But
Carbon, it's your turn.
Yeah. So listen, there is one thing I agree with Mike about, with pricing on the books according to the number of pages and the quality of the paper stock and everything else. There is a logic to that. It makes sense, because the way I look at it is you base it off. I don't need to be full screen, Patrick. We can have everybody.
I know, but I just want people to shut up while you talk.
Okay. So
me.
Yeah,
I base it. Here's my logic. I base it off of you go to the comic store, Ben. You go to the comic store right now. The pricing that exists right now is about $5 for a standard, even a floppy, actually, from the main two. So $5 gives you about 20 pages, and the paper stock is not good. So you use that as a baseline, right? So then what if you got a 40-page book following that pricing would be $10, and then 80 pages of that quality would be $20. So therefore, you take into account the indie element. You're getting an indie book, which is more limited. So therefore, the price is going to go up. So you compare an 80-page mainstream book for $20 based on that pricing versus a 48-page book. That's, in my opinion, it needs to be at least 48 pages for you to be charging $20. I agree with that, because I just gave it to you mathematically there, how it makes sense based on what's out there in the market. And so that was my 2 cents.
Run size. That's the thing that everyone is missing.
Well, hold on.
All industries.
It's going to be Katie's turn next.
That's a quick rebuttal though to what I just said, because I took that into account though, BA, because I said with an indie campaign, being that it's a limited run, that is what's making it more valuable. So that justifies the increase, right, of it going up to $20 or $25 for less pages. So the indie allure is that it's limited run, it's a limited creator, right? And it justifies that increase versus the mainstream pricing scheme. So I think that it takes it into account.
Bingo.
I sorry, I thought you said that a 48-page had to be 20.
No, he said that in order to charge 20, it needs to be 48 pages or up.
Yeah.
So and that's generally what like the standard has been. And I have no
There's
problem
no
with
standard.
Well, look, it's a general. I'm saying
someone's printing 100 books.
Wait a minute. Don't make me mute you guys. It's Katie's turn next. It's Katie's turn next, and then you can talk. Then you can make
basic business that people aren't understanding.
Yeah, you said business. You're trying to get me to bite on that, but I'm not gonna. Katie, how do you feel?
Okay, so repeat the question so I make sure I give you the good answer.
Kick Katie. Kick Katie. She doesn't
I'm
know what's
blonde.
going
Okay,
on.
so here's how I look at it as a normie. Okay, this is a normie's perspective.
Just you don't. Yeah, you're fine.
So, if like, for instance, if I'm going to pay over 20, maybe even 35, it would need to be somebody like Shane, Ethan, like people who do really good work and has good investment, because that's how I look at it. It's what's the investment going to be like for me if I put it on eBay? What's the investment going to be like for my children when they get to my age? So like if it's a small creator and they have a beautiful book and a beautiful story, I could give two shits about what the page quality is. Because to me, I guess you need to really take good care of it if you want it to be good, I guess, the material, whatever. But I can understand, I've seen campaigns where there's really not that many pages. And it's not something that's grabbing my attention. I wouldn't spend over 20 on it, if that makes sense. So, like I know this is kind of a weird comparison. So for me, I've backed Shane Davis's campaign 3 or 4 times. That's because I don't mind paying for. I think it's like 35 for the cover. I don't mind paying that because I know the investment in return will be greater. Like I'll get more out of it. Now, if it's like, for instance, like someone like Richard who did a $5 floppy, it was great quality. It was really good, actually. I mean, it was short, but the pages were really nice. The art was really nice, and I liked it. So, to me, if I'm going to pay over 20, so I'll pay over 25 is kind of the limit if it's a decent book, right? But if it's someone with a bigger name, I expect to pay a little more because of the name and what the market value, aftermarket value will be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A fair comment. Dr. Ben wants to respond to this. So go ahead, Dr. Ben.
Well, this is the thing that I wanted to like just kind of address earlier. How like people like were with Katie. Like I feel like you don't like appreciate like, and that's like your position, right? And that's what I mean. Like when I started to say it earlier, even Patrick like commented that how I tried to describe you almost sounded like I was trying to like insult you, right? And that's not not at all what I was saying.
No.
You're like a commentator. You're like a journalist. You're like a
what exactly do you
imagine if you were to take Roger and Ebert and turn them into one person and turn them into one not like horribly disfigured, disgusting, horrible person, but Katie did instead. Beautiful, normal person who has kids and like does like just normal shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you like manga probably because your kids like manga. You know what I'm saying? Like you probably grew up with stuff back in the 90s or 2000s with manga and anime stuff, Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and like all these comics and just popular culture. And you're just, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just a normal person. And that
Ben,
is
Katie's married though, Ben. Katie's married, so take it easy.
You know what?
Oh, you're one to speak, Carbon. Hey, Miranda. Hello.
Hey, that's before I knew.
Anyway, look, let's get back to the
anyways,
debate at hand.
I am being like legitimate. Like
Finish up, Dr. Ben. Finish up.
That's what I'm saying. Like legitimately though, I'm not trying to hit on you, Katie. Like I know that you're married.
I know you're good. Continue. Just
you
continue.
know that.
You're good.
But you know what I'm saying? Like legitimately, like that's one of the things. Like people that review comics, people that review movies, that review books, that's part of the system. That's part of making comics. You know what I'm saying? The people that review them, the people that are like the tastemakers, the people like you that say, hey, you know what? This is a legitimate comic. Hey, you know what? Like, not to like you know, like with Ripperverse, you know what I'm saying? Like some of his comics are good, right? I guess. I mean, eventually there has to be one of them that's going to be good, right? But you know what I'm saying?
Horse
Like
Song or Horseman, sorry. That'll be it.
Horseman is going to be the
Be
breakthrough.
good.
That's my bet. But you know what I'm saying? Like, and not to like hope, not to like turn it into Eric, but you know what I'm saying? Like with anything that you do, you know what I'm saying, Katie, you're covering all this stuff. You're focusing on the independent creators, and that's a legitimate thing that people do. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a legitimate like source of information about all this stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because how many different Comicsgate like campaigns are there? You know, there is a ton of them. I can't keep track of all of them. Patrick, can you keep track of them? Carbon?
Actually, I can keep pretty good
Yeah.
track. I back most of them. So
Shut up.
man.
sorry.
Like, are you asking like how many indie comic projects are there per year?
No, I'm just saying, like, to be able to keep track of all of them, which ones are
No,
good,
it's
which ones are
impossible. Like,
bad.
especially especially when you branch out beyond just like just like the Comicsgate community and everything, like Comicsgate Iron Age community. Once you branch out from there and you're even looking at like Kickstarters and everything, dude, you've got new launches every fucking week.
Exactly. So that's what you do, Katie, is you are like someone like, hey, she knows what she's talking about. And like I said, like you might look at like you call yourself just like a normal sort of person, but that's the nut that everyone tries to crack. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone wants to know, like, what is just a normal person like? What is going to appeal to a normal person? And you know what I'm saying? Like that is not to put like normal person as like a you know, like a
No, I
negative.
think what you're saying is it's good to get a perspective of someone like me who is a normie, who is coming into the space and finally getting to do something that I kind of wish my parents would have gotten me into, but
Yeah.
that's another story for another day. But something, you know, now that I'm a mom and I have a son, you know, I've paid attention to what's going on in the pop culture area and stuff. No, it's that's why I try to be as honest as I can about like my reviews and what I think of certain situations because it's coming from my perspective. You know, I'm not a comic book whiz. I don't know every little thing, and but I'm here to learn. But I also will be honest because I want to give you guys who are making comics an idea of what someone like me would think of it,
Yeah.
right? So that's why, to me, when it comes to like this whole page quality stuff, like yeah, it's good, but
But it doesn't matter.
it's all about the person that's doing the book and what the story and what the art is. I could give two shits about the page quality.
Yeah.
As long as it's a good book, and it's a good aftermarket value for my children at my age. I'm good. Yeah.
So Katie says that, and that's Katie. That's when I was a kid and growing up. I read the Marvel Essentials, which page quality was just fucking. It's just black and white on fucking newspaper type paper. Those stories were the greatest stories. Like that's the stuff I sent you for the Fantastic Four comics because
Yes.
I'm really honestly trying, and I'll be brutally honest with folks here. I am literally trying to propagandize Katie Did's children into loving the Fantastic Four. There's no doubt about it. I'll be honest with it.
Super underrated team.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. The Lee Kirby run is the greatest comic book story run of all time. And that's my personal opinion. BA, I'm gonna let you. Do you want to have the last word? Do you want to have the or do you want to be you want to have the first word and then Michael gets to respond to you before we close it out here tonight? It's up to you. I'm gonna let you because you jumped on later at my behest and I asked you to, so I'm gonna give you the option.
No, it doesn't matter. You know, I think there's kind of two different conversations getting morphed into one here, right? There's running a responsible business and protecting yourself as a creator. And then there is the customer perspective, which we're customers, but at the same time, we are not our own customers, right? We're not in the head of all of our backers. And you know, when it comes to running a responsible business, you know, you have to protect yourself in regards to pricing. A lot of the new, again, when you're a seasoned creator and you've already ran a campaign, you'll know where you can kind of gauge your pricing, right? You'll know when you can reduce it. You'll know or have a decent idea of how many backers you can get, right, based on your following and your previous campaign. But you got to remember, there's the brand new creators that have no idea how many backers they're going to get. It's a complete wild card. And some of them don't necessarily want to sacrifice quality and just say, oh, I'm going to outsource it to some low cost country and pay $80 a page, because they know they have an amazing story and they want it to be relayed properly and in a beautiful manner, because this is art, right? Everyone should want to create the best product possible. So there's the risk, right? If they want to pay 200-300 pages or dollars a page, right? There's a risk. So they may have to charge a little bit more to protect themselves. And then it's up to the backer to determine, well, hey, is that concept, is that art, are the names attached to that art worth that extra $5? And let's be honest, $5 is not price gouging anyone by any means, unless there's not real art in the book or it's like a 5-page book, right? We're talking some pretty small variances in page count such, but the variance in quality, whether it's story or art, can be massive. And creators have to make sure that they're not digging themselves a hole that they can't get out of, because otherwise they won't be able to continue to create and they won't be able to continue to provide those stories to the backers. So there's a fine line there for the ones that don't have that experience. And those are the ones that I'm more kind of speaking out for, because they don't know what they're going to get for backers. I had no idea what I was going to get. Thank God I went in demand and I got connected with folks. But had I not, it would have been rough. But the thing is, it's really, there's luck involved, there's chance involved, and we can't expect creators to hit a standard cost, because again, that cost is highly tied to print run size. Whether you print 50 at $5, or if you print 500 at $1 cheaper or $2 cheaper, plays a huge part. So, not everyone has obviously a crystal ball. Not everyone has several campaigns under their belt. And so, again, there's going to be a massive variance there. And I don't want creators to sacrifice on quality and just say, oh, well, I got to go to lower quality artists, or I got to pay less here, or I got to sacrifice my cardstock quality on the cover, or I got to sacrifice paper quality, or I got to outsource to China just so that I hit this price point. Because you know what? That could backfire. They could get a shipment full of just shit comics because they outsourced it to China. And then they've lost a ton of money because of this, trying to hit this standard that some people are pushing. So again, I don't think there's many people in this space that are trying to price gouge by any means. I think they're just trying to protect themselves. And in a lot of cases, they're just trying to provide the best book possible. That first campaign is going to determine if the backers responded to that price point and to your product. And then you go from there. You can't expect everyone to have that knowledge and that experience. So end of the point is, it varies highly upon several different aspects. And I don't think it's fair to compare it to mainstream prices, because come on, they're printing in the tens, if not hundreds of thousands. And then there's that huge variance in indie of whether or not you're printing 50 or you're printing 1,000 or so. So yeah.
All right.
There's a lot that goes into
Michael, what do you think?
So there's some things that I get where BA is coming from, and from a new creator perspective, I understand what he is saying, where there is an element of, we'll say, like, industry ignorance, right? Like you're coming into this kind of blind, right? Like there, and I can understand some of that, but to me, that's something where, and whether they do it or not, it's on them. That's where you have to go and research what's been going on. Like, crowdfunding isn't new. It's been going on for 5 years. There's tons of campaigns to look at and see what's worked, what hasn't. There's industry research that you can do to plan. Now, in terms of outsourcing to other countries, that's not a bad thing. And I mean, like, let's be real here. If I can, I'm going to share a page of something.
What?
Right? So
Letting our guests share a page, Patrick. Are you sure about
man, I know. It's
kind of
such a-
cheating.
it's such a
It's kind of
travesty.
if BA will allow it, I will allow it.
the stream's going downhill? I don't know.
Debate.
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean, again, printing in China could work out, but it's
Yeah.
variable.
It's
If
not
you
just
have to
printing
have
in
something
China.
to back up your point, then I guess.
But yes,
Michael's
I'm
our
saving
main
money,
guest, so
possibly.
he gets last word.
No,
he gets
you're right.
privileges.
I'm just kidding, Michael. Go ahead.
Okay.
It's all
Sure.
good, man.
Sure.
I guess.
I like to fuck around with everybody, so I'm sorry if I seem like I
Alright,
was
well.
late side.
Whatever.
Not that one. Here we go.
Just for the chat,
All right.
Katie, can you say the word omnibus real quick for us?
Please.
Ambius?
Okay.
Shit.
Thank you. No, that's it.
There we
That's
go.
all.
We got it.
Thank you.
Damn it.
Flipped.
So let's talk about artists from like a low quality artists from other countries.
Well, I
Every
didn't say they're all low quality. Hold on.
But
Don't
talking about-
morph my words. I'm not saying that all
but
artists
but
in
what
other
I'm
countries are
saying
low
is that
quality.
You can set you're talking about I don't want to sacrifice quality.
Right.
Each one of these pages cost me less than $250 a page. Every single one of these artists
250 is not
is
that
from
cheap.
different
Though.
countries. My penciler is from the Philippines. My inker is from Brazil. My colorist, I think, is from Spain. Every single one of them charges at different rates. But if you go out there and you get creative, you can do it. At the end of the day, you don't have to sacrifice quality. You just have to be smart, and you have to be persistent, and you have to look.
250 is not cheap though.
This is my
I'm
whole
talking
thing.
like cheap.
BA.
Yeah, but
this is his
at the end of the day,
turn to talk.
like Will's pencils for this are $100 a page. You could literally just have a pen, get his pencils and then get a decent inker to ink it up, do a black and white book, and look, man, Judex was you were on me. You were with streams with me on Judex.
Mm-hmm.
If a black and white book looks good, it sells. And if you make it, I mean, yes, 100%. There are always going to be grifters out there, but that's why you have contracts. That's why you have things set in place.
If they're overseas, those contracts aren't going to do your shit, though.
That's not necessarily true, because I can still go and I can show that contract to PayPal and get all my money back. If they haven't done their end of the work and I'm not satisfied, I can go and do that. It'll take time, but I'll get the money back.
Maybe, yeah.
No, it's that's why you make
Have
sure
you had that happen before. You're 100% confident PayPal is just going to give you your money back if there's two people.
I've literally had to do it 3 times.
You can't. You have to be able to risk something like that. If you can't risk that, then it might not be the way to go. You know what I'm saying? You can figure out.
Also had to spend time and effort because of those instances that you were put into, probably because you were trying to save some money by going overseas. Some of us don't want to even have that risk, right?
But
we want to work with guys here in the States or in Australia.
Wait. This was supposed to be Michael's chance to rebuttal.
That's what
I know. He twisted my words.
No, I'm not trying to twist your words. But you were talking about sacrificing quality for cost.
No, you don't said have that. To sacrifice you tried to imply that I meant that if you go overseas, it's always lower quality. It varies. I'm saying in a lot of cases, people go overseas specifically to get lower cost. And in some cases, yes, that's going to mean lower quality.
You can go for lower cost without sacrificing quality, is what I am trying to say.
You can, but you said 250, and that's not cheap.
250 a page is like standard for this game.
Yeah,
standard, but
this is meant to be the final word by Michael. This is his last, right? Because we're gonna wrap up soon, so.
But
let's give Michael his final word.
But my point is that
let me prop you up for just a second, Michael, if you don't mind.
How did he do that? Did I share your screen? How did you close that out?
I stopped.
Okay. I was about
Okay.
to say, hold on a second.
Hiring people from a different country is not a sign of like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what Marvel and DC do. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to play with the BA. You know what I'm saying? I love you. You're straight. You know?
I mean, hell,
like Marvel and
DC,
DC.
he's an awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're straight.
They have a 50%. The AUD is 50% the value of the USD.
What?
Like it's the same deal.
Yeah.
Remember, we're primarily. I was focusing on brand new creators, which means they probably don't have a lot of great contacts, and if they go blindly into the wild to overseas people, there is risk. There's a chance.
There's risk with
they're
everyone.
going to find someone that's lower that could end up being lower quality. A lot of us do prefer to stick with artists here in the States or in Australia, for example.
There's risk for everybody. There are plenty of people in the States that'll take your money.
Australia, Dean. My artist is from Australia, and it's not a lower cost country. Australia is more expensive than the States.
No, it's not.
Really? Do you know what their taxes and shit are like over there, and the cost of
their taxes are not great? But guess what? They have cheaper gas than us. They have cheaper groceries.
Wow,
look,
gas is cheaper. It's also cheaper in a lot of other countries than here.
BA, hold on, guys.
Hold on. I want to talk about something that's important to me. Okay, I've been quiet this whole show.
Yeah, let Patrick
I'm letting you guys talk about your fucking comic books and stuff. Nobody's talked about the Fantastic Four. Nobody, not once.
Hey man,
so I'm
love the Fantastic Four. What are your thoughts on Future Foundation?
Let me finish. Don't start.
Hold on, let Patrick finish, please.
We don't have another hour to talk about Future Foundation. We'll talk about that the next time you're on the show. But I got to be honest with you guys. Like, I feel like